Jack McLaughlin. Susan.
Here.
Dave Hume.
Present.
Cassandra Starks. Cassandra, you
Here.
online?
Yep, I'm here.
And Greg Filings here. We all rise for the pledge.
Pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay.
Meeting agenda, the only edit I had was gonna strike item 10G. That was something I had put on there, but I'm gonna strike it for now. Any other amendments?
10B.
Yeah, 10 Bravo. Any other amendments to the agenda? Have a motion?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Public comment period. Any public comments from anybody in the room? Anybody online for public comments, Brenda?
We have a few people online. No one has raised their hand. And Angel, for you, I've allowed people to mute and unmute themselves on Zoom.
Okay, are you turning it over to me now?
Yes. Let me figure out.
All
how to do it.
right,
Thank you.
thank you. Feel better.
Thank you.
Third party reports.
I think
sorry.
Clark has something.
I'm sorry, Clark, yep.
Next one, Clark. I did want to bring to your attention, we have we call Clark Day of Caring every year in September. And we take a day off around the world and every office everywhere does community service together. So we are interested in the opportunity to do some kind of service and celebration. So we have some time, so just in case it's a big project, we can work on it, but I wasn't sure if this is something I should pose to you or to PROA or what other entity within celebration.
What kind of service? Is it just manual labor, planting trees?
Weeds, we planted trees.
Oh, Benchmark would love that.
You know, some maybe some.
Mailbox.
Yeah.
White House. You can watch the kids.
No, nice.
Pressure wash my front porch.
Yeah. I was like, paint fences, yes, personal fences, I know, but yeah.
We
so
can come up with a
something
list.
you can think of. Maybe the garden club needs something, or maybe the schools
The
need
school
something.
definitely could
I
use
was
something.
gonna say, between the
Think of
PTAs
something.
and schools, we can get you in touch with all, I can send an angel or send you directly.
I'll send you,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
get
It's
a
like
list
all
together.
Since everybody's usually about 20 or 30 of us, like one year in the community, we went around all the ponds and picked up trash and stuff, like so just whatever, something you need.
Okay.
Let me know and I'll coordinate.
It's
with that
awesome.
person.
Yeah, great. I appreciate that. Thank you.
I'll get you some information.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
Any questions for Teresa since she's here? No, no, that's okay. No mosquitoes, no problems. All right, now third party reports. Mr. McDonald.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't have anything pressing to report other than we're looking forward to the meeting in May. We are still looking at not being able to do much on master planning until after we hear from MPAG. So we're on, all of that is on hold. We're just in the process of trying to get stuff done that's been underway since like years ago.
MPAG is.
Their master plan.
Master plan.
Master plan advisory group. Sorry.
Oh, so I was like, then why are we having a joint meeting?
Well, we're having a joint meeting just to establish the joint meetingness of the joint meeting.
The joint
Just
meeting,
talk about
okay.
what we're going to be doing in the future.
Got it.
Because until MPAG has come back, as the advisory group has come back with what they want, and then we work that into some sort of a document as to how things are gonna go, or some sort of a planning sheet. That's when we wanna talk really in depth with CDD about what we can do, you can do, we can do together.
So Dave, have you been to any of their meetings lately?
I have.
So
And
does this kind of line up? Because I wasn't tracking that you guys were closing down your advisory group. I was tracking that you guys were.
No, they just report to us in August. We don't know what's gonna happen exactly
August?
to the task force, because Master Plan Advisory Group is a task force.
So is it August or July? Because I heard it was July.
It's the beginning of August. They have till the end of July.
Oh, I see.
We'll get the report in August as a board.
So,
So the discussion we had though, a couple months ago, and if we're not going this route, it's fine. That's what Dave would kind of look at you, was leveraging that group as part of the Dick site.
I'll leave that,
Efforts.
I'll leave that with CROA. What we have as part of our master planning vision and scope is coordination with CROA in the generic term. in order to primarily get community input and engage with the residents. And since you're here, I will say that's gotten off to a bit of a rocky start.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of, interagency egoism. That gets in the way of everything, because the master plan group has been working on their thing and as you know, as chairman, have very limited control over what my board does. And the task force, so.
I guess my question is, so the joint meeting, what is the joint meeting for? Because I thought it
And I'm
was
starting to
for,
question that as
I
well.
thought it was for this specific master plan to
Yeah,
get
I
together.
originally thought that, and my bad, that the task force would be a lot more amenable to the Dix Hicks thing, and there seemed to have been a lot of confusion about how far along you guys were versus where we were, and again,
So are you saying you're much farther along than us, or?
no, I don't know.
What do you think? They don't even expect a
We're
report
at
until
different
August.
places.
Well, we haven't really started.
Yeah,
Oh, no, I know that.
So-
That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to.
I mean, you guys are working kind of in a different way than we are. We've got the survey already out.
My understanding was that was like a first survey you guys were doing. That wasn't.
This is, none of, again, none of this is gonna be cast in concrete for a very long time. We're gonna get a report in August. But as to what we're gonna do with this massive report and this list of everybody's wishes, that's going to amount to, my guess, 20 or 30 or 40 million dollars worth of stuff. And how that's going to be prioritized.
I mean, and I'm not.
And we're trying not to step on the task force's toes too much. And giving them a lot of room to work. So we really won't know where they want us to go until we get to that report.
So the question I had was, and it's fine, it's gonna be a big report, and, you know, the wish list for.
Is 200 and some odd items initially.
Alright, and so, but this encompasses all of Celebration, which is fine. And even if it's $30 to $40 million, it could be $100 million, doesn't matter. The reason it doesn't matter is,
Because we don't have the money.
well, correct, but I would.
Other than that.
Well, but I would like to understand that, does the report break out areas to where they could work with the CCDD on certain pieces?
My understanding is that it will. That's my understanding. Again, I don't sit on that, nor am I liaison to that group.
See, I think that's one thing we really need to clarify, what the understanding is, because I don't understand.
Let me clarify it from my perspective.
Okay, please.
Which is that I encourage all, not only us, but and I think we've done that, but also from the PROA and the MPAC side to look over closely the scope of work that Insight is envisioned to accomplish. And that's holistic. And it has a very large piece of it, which is getting feedback from the community. And our intent, I'll say our in the royal sense, that PROA is the main vessel by which the master planning is gets that input. And that can take several different things. But what we brought Dix Hite on board to do is they're experts in this, and they've done this several times, and they know a strategy by which they can get a complete picture of the community to include what they have, what they should have, and what the residents desire.
And that's what I kind of understood, was that the Dix Hite thing was going to take data and help us better utilize that data.
And
They're also gonna generate data though. I mean,
yes.
yeah.
And they're gonna go out and do their own survey.
So, well, there's more surveying to do. So how and
Right.
who does that is open for coordination.
Right, and this is if you looked at the survey, it's not a very detailed survey, it's just mainly a popularity contest. To see,
I would have to.
yeah,
There's limited use to it, but it's still there.
right, and somebody who's an expert like a Dix Hite. And this is a great area, this is where I thought we could work together, is that you guys are utilizing an expert group like this. If we can, and that's why I was hoping that the master plan task force could work with them and kind of determine how they could best use each other.
Well, so, I mean, the intention was coming out of our discussion 3 months ago was that if we were to pick up the tab on Dick's Height and whether we're using them for things where there's overlap with you or things that we're just gonna do on our own, that they would provide the framework for the report and the comparison study with other communities, things like that. The master plan group would be a main feeder into that because
They're
it's
the resource we're using to bring the community into it.
well,
They're that intermediary.
and I would caveat it that really my vision and kind of the discussion we had here, but I think that was part of the intent for the joint workshop was, I think Dick's Height needs to be the ones driving the train of here's how deliverables work and here's how process works, and have them come in and bring in the baseline. To have your master plan group has intimacy, obviously, with the community. They know what they know, they live here, everything else. To have them, like you say, kind of be that intermediary that as they're getting feedback, they're helping to shape questions that are going out. They're helping to I think Dick's Height was the one they were saying they were gonna go downtown and like set up at the farmer's market and they would do in-person interviews with people as they're strolling around. Hey, do you live here? Can you answer these 5 questions? Town hall meetings, however they're gonna do that engagement to solicit that feedback from the community, they would be the ones to be doing that with the master plan group if they chose to participate as well. And then the master plan group would kind of help them digest and dissect some of that information. Hey, when you see these buzzwords, what that really means is this, and hey, we've talked about this, but it really means some of those things that'll help kind of cut through the chaff because they're gonna be getting so many different.
And that's
data
why I
points.
think that having a joint initial meeting is still important. Because it's not about hammering out details. You're not to that point. We're not to that point.
No.
It's more about communication.
Right.
And setting expectations so that everybody's on the same page, so that I am not ferrying information back and forth, much of which is not gonna be particularly accurate because I'm not intimately involved with the task force. A joint meeting would allow this board to speak to our board and even have the chairman of the master plan group.
Well, I was gonna say, number one, I think for this to be useful, one guy's opinion, I think the entire master plan group should be invited.
It's a very big, they should all be, yeah, but I think that the speaking.
Oh, yeah, I get that.
That's fine, however the mechanics.
Yeah.
Which board members from Crow are not gonna be at the meeting? Cause isn't that the 2 board members that are not? So
I'm
I guess
con-
where I'm
I'm
getting to it,
Yeah,
who is the board liaison for Crows to the master
I
plan?
know Charles said he couldn't be there in person.
Charles was the only one I heard about.
Yeah.
But no, but
And Charles just was gonna be remote.
But isn't Jared the liaison for the master plan?
Jared, there are actually 2 liaisons, but Sealy's the other. Yeah.
And that's my question. I'm hoping both of them are at. the
I
building.
have heard nothing from Jared about not being.
Okay.
And again, Jared, when he's not there, even if he's in Europe, Jared attends remote.
Okay.
Well, let me frame it this way. We have an opportunity as far as,
I don't think any conversation's a waste of time.
no, and I'll tell you how we can frame this is because part of the scope of this master planning with Dick's Height is they're supposed to engage in a kickoff meeting. Okay, and those are usually where you get the client together and go over some of the ground rules, schedule, actually they got a list here, objectives, insights, responsibilities, and so on and so forth. And that, if we get all those players in the room, we get all out at once.
You're
No, Dick's
suggesting
gonna
that
be
you
there,
kick off meeting at that workshop? At that
Yes.
joint meeting?
That would be I think that'd be a very good idea.
so.
Because again, it's in May, we're looking at August. It takes a long time for both of our boards to do things because we meet officially once a month.
Are they able to, with the time, I mean, we got a month till that, are they?
21st, I think.
Yeah, it's the 21st.
Yes,
It's almost exactly.
They can do a kickoff meeting. 4 weeks.
What are you gonna say, Joe?
That's fine, this side will be there.
I just need to invite them, yep.
Okay.
They'll be there in force, and what hopefully we get around to is structure around this coordination, because like I said, it got off the rocky start because we weren't afforded the opportunity to, I'll just put it this way, it was a 24-hour turnaround to get feedback on the survey, and it was ignored, so, more or less.
And
So we can
again,
do better than that.
it's the issue that we've had since I served on Crow before, then served on this board in the middle, and now serving on Crow again. It's very difficult to get a bunch of type A people together in any kind of a group and come to a consensus. And so we have to make the effort. And you've got egos on MPEG, you've got egos on CROA, you've got egos on CDP. We've all got our issues.
What? There's no egos
Oh,
here.
Right there, not right there.
Just Jack.
What?
Yeah, well, look, statue.
Yeah.
So,
Jack.
so it is and I like where this was going. It's not where I thought it was gonna go, but I actually like this better. Is the thought then having them kind of drive the meeting, or at least the first part of the meeting?
Yeah, so look for this, Dick's Height will drive this meeting. It's
Okay.
not,
That'd be great.
it is not a free for all.
And you know, that actually makes the meeting so much better, because again, we don't have the jurisdictional
Does everybody
issues
know that?
that mess these things up, and it messed up
Dick's
every
Height's gonna
joint
go this
CDD meeting I've ever
Because we
been
left
to.
this meeting.
Yeah, so essentially, it's gonna be Dick's Height saying, this is the plan, this is how it's gonna happen, this is how long it's gonna take, and this is your role, and this is your role. and this is your role.
I love that.
So
Can we
make-
relay it back to your CROA board that that's what's gonna happen?
Absolutely, I'll relay that Wednesday.
Okay, that way there's no confusion.
I can. And I'll go ahead and get the liaisons to invite MPAG.
Do you have any dependents? Obviously, you say Dick's Heights got a month. Is there anything you need from us in order to make that happen?
No, it's part of their initial authorization.
Okay.
Which we'll have to talk about later when we get there.
Okay. Because the other thing I was gonna throw in there, obviously, we've had now 2 joint workshops in the past 12 months with CROA. One of them was specifically targeted on this. One of them was kind of an not incidental, but it was not the primary focus of the conversation. I don't want to, recognizing you guys just went through an election, I don't want to get on a restart piece of, okay, now we're back at square one. Okay, now we're back at square. I mean, you guys know the conversation that's happened.
We know what's happened in the past. We are trying to just go forward.
Yep.
We don't want to go back and relitigate a lot of the issues from the past. We
Yep.
just want to find a way. The sense of the board, and of course, there are going to be exceptions, but the sense of the board is we all need to work together.
Well, and I say that because comments, I mean, and these have already come up, so, and I know Jack's made a couple of them. I mean, I already put on the table at the last workshop, would you guys consider ditching 851 and moving in if we could figure out legally how that mechanics of that work, and there's a lot to do there. Jack's brought up the idea of the entire civic corridor, if you guys would do a land lease and we jointly decide. These are conversations I want to start having. I don't want to come out of the workshop not having talked about that.
Right, and I think
One of those things
I don't think we're gonna arrive at any kind of a conclusion at the workshop. I think we're just laying the groundwork
I don't need,
for joint activities, and that I think needs to eventually then include the county.
well, and I don't think there's gonna come a conclusion. I do want to have actionable things to get progress,
Yeah.
because coming out of the last meeting
We're
8
gonna get
months ago.
indications of interest.
Well, coming out of the meeting 8 months ago, it was left with you guys of, hey, let us know if you're interested in pursuing this.
But nothing.
We've been marching ahead however pace we've been doing it. And I understand now you coming in the last meeting saying, hey, can you slow down a little bit? And trust me, there are things in our side that have definitely taken a lot longer than we thought they were going
And
to.
things that on our side taking a lot longer than.
For sure. But I just want to make sure that it's with the intent and understanding of your board. We're gonna continue stepping.
That is my understanding, unless I am not reading the room well, that we know we have resource issues.
Hmm.
We know that the list is longer than we will probably be able to tackle over 5 or 6 or 7 years. But we have to start taking little bites out of it.
Okay.
And we need help to do that. I think, I'm saying, I'm humble enough to say, we need help to do it.
Well,
I think the rest of the board understands that too, that the list is, there's no way we can do the things that the community wants done with one board, one entity, one government.
Yeah.
We need all of them
yeah, and that's, I think, the
to
reality.
find a
is
way to work together.
Our
And I
board,
think
our
that's-
board hasn't stepped up to that in the past.
That's
Glad
the
that
most
that's where we're at.
important thing I think this may meeting could do, is just really say, yes,
Okay.
yes, we're all listening to each other. We're all gonna find the ways to work around all the issues and find a common ground. It may not be everybody's perfect solution, but we're gonna find a commonality and make something work so that we can move forward and stop putting everything off until it's falling apart.
Okay, so Dave, if you can get with Angel, and we've already published an agenda, I mean, there's only one agenda item, but as far as the actual
Yes.
syllabus from Dick's Heights, the material they're gonna.
Well,
Yeah,
it's more of a workshop, so it's
Yeah.
loosey, but I love the fact, I love the idea of them running.
I mean, ours is noticed as a meeting. just so
Ours
you
is
know.
a meeting.
Okay,
Just-
because it has to be for you.
Well,
No,
it
in
doesn't
case
have
they
to
wanna
be.
make
That way, if we wanna make
decisions.
decisions on anything,
Okay.
we're not missing an opportunity.
We're fine, yeah.
Can we ask that Noah attend this as well?
You're pushing it, Jack, come on.
But
Just
it's a
kidding.
good idea.
Statue
We
gone.
need to have
But it's a
Noah,
great idea.
Because the downtown needs to be addressed too.
No, I think it's good.
Yeah, but.
This is a master plan for the entire community.
Yeah.
We need to improve this whole thing, whether it be parking downtown, parking garage possibly. Something needs to be done down there too.
There's limited participation if that's what you get,
Yeah, that's what
because
I'm
we don't
getting
want this to get too over.
Yeah.
I just, I don't want us going on too many
I don't want them-
directions. I want to stay kind of focused, because the only thing that I can see right now, and again, this could change, that we would do downtown would be something to do with your land where the parking lot is.
And I will say it out loud, my opinion is, given the size of the space, if you guys were to give up 851 and we could put parking there, that may be a possibility. I mean, these are all things we're gonna have to get with county to figure out how many parking spots we need. But if I can't get your land in order to do that, I don't know that we're gonna be able to use that 4.7 acres from the school district and would get adequate parking on the same
Yeah.
space.
There's,
You know, we're gonna have to take a look at the Stetson lot as to whether or not we wanna do a parking lot. Yeah,
Okay.
the hotel.
Yeah.
The hotel lot.
21st of May, 6 PM, location.
Well, we probably have more room.
yeah, we've already know, so.
And that's
So
another
is it-
question.
So Jan is
I hate to
saying-
throw this at you.
Even though town hall's.
Jan is saying, let's move it along.
And we're gonna have air conditioning.
Yeah, we've got people.
That's what
I
I'm
know.
gonna ask.
We're gonna have air
You
conditioning.
wanna do it Heritage instead of.
No,
you want-
we will have air
We've
conditioning.
already noticed it.
We-
Mhm.
We have given management basically whatever they need to get it to happen as soon as possible. We don't wanna have another meeting after this one without air.
Okay.
It's getting too hot.
Very well. All right, anything else for Don? All
Thank
right,
you
well,
all.
appreciate it.
Have a lovely meeting.
Thank you.
You as well.
Take on. If you need me, send me a note.
We're gonna talk about
You
you.
know where I live.
We're
What?
gonna talk about you.
It's
5B
okay.
Corporation.
I'm used to it.
Jan, I mean, if you wanna update, there's really,
Yeah, that, on our last, we had a call trying to get the report finished up with the comments that both we and the special counsel needed. And special counsel brought up the concept that there had been a House bill passed. That the consultant had intimated he was talking about trying to get something next legislative session. They actually, the Senate and House passed a bill, both agreed that would repeal the section of the chapter 190 that says that when you reach 10,000 people, you need to hold a referendum.
Oh, so it
It
didn't even
was-
change the may to shall, or shall to may, it just repealed the whole
It
section.
repealed the entire thing because
wow.
apparently the legislature is against forming municipalities.
corporations, yeah.
It's repealed. It was submitted to the governor on April 16th. If he doesn't act in 15 days, it will become law on July 1st. He could sign it into law or he could veto. So
July
hopefully
1st.
that's when it would come into effect.
Is it 12 days?
I said
15.
15 days.
It's 50. Yeah, he said 12. It's 15.
Yeah, it's
on the
15, but it'll go into effect. He has only
Yeah, he has-
15 days to sign or
He's
veto.
got 15 to sign and veto.
We'll know by the first of May though, whether.
So
or not-
we'll
Yeah.
know by the 1st of May, and then I asked Neighbors Giblin, would they contact DCA or Department of Commerce now and make sure that it would apply retroactively?
Right.
Okay.
So we're on board for that as soon as we know it becomes law. So this could be a great end to the incorporation process.
And he's awesome. Joe, I should let everybody know, he's amazing. He's great to work with.
That was Angel's sarcastic voice for anybody. who
Yes.
doesn't know.
So anyway, then this could be great news,
Do you need anything from us between now and then?
you know?
Okay.
We just want to, I said, the big thing is just getting the agreement that it would apply retroactively. If they don't, we'll have to get an attorney general opinion. But I have a feeling that given the legislature's idea and concept that they would agree that we would.
Right,
But we'll find out.
which will be good.
So that was good news.
Osceola County Sheriff's Department, Captain Calvis couldn't make it. They did give, that was the written report. We brought in.
Was that the blotter?
That's the blotter.
It's
So
the-
you gonna- you gonna
It's
send
the
it in?
blotter, Jack. I'm gonna get, I mean,
I'm
Tom,
not Jack.
I'm getting this
I
out.
really am told.
I'm getting asked out to all of you.
You will get an email.
Right here.
So is everybody okay with, I mean, that's the same format as what we got like a month ago, right? after
Yeah.
the-
It's okay. I wish it had added.
I think they're intentionally amending those, because, you know, the public
It's
record.
public record.
Yeah.
don't-
No,
I have no idea what that's at, so it doesn't tell me.
I know it's in Celebration, that's all I'm worried about. I don't want to take, I don't want the drama fest and call someone.
I get it, but
You know, it's public record.
Well,
Well, then go get the sheriff.
Well, we also got the report they did have addresses on it. Details. So why the did vary?
You know, can I bring up something, you wanna bring it up now, the incident that occurred downtown on Friday, actually, was it Saturday, Mike Nunes called me up and said, we got a problem downtown.
which incident? There were several actually.
There was a lady that was mentally unstable, that was doing all kinds of stuff and dirtying herself and among other things.
Okay.
Going inside Susan, the town tavern, swiping somebody's food and beer, running out, not paying for stuff, threatening to kill Susan. The problem was that what Mike told me was when he finally got her with, you know, an officer, the officer said that if she had gone over to our property, the Esplanade, they couldn't have done a thing to her.
Nope.
Okay,
She's,
huh?
she's out of control.
No, she would have been untouchable. They couldn't trespass her, couldn't do anything.
Well, that's not true.
That's not
We-
true.
Well,
That's-
I've asked Mike to send me the police report, but there seems to be an issue. We need to be able to
So-
have.
This is my concern.
Well, so the sheriff's department's been given two important things, and I got confirmation back from Captain Calvis, actually, the email, I got a few other things today. They did upload the GIS map that shows who owns what in town, and those are actually the patrol cars now, so they can go through and figure out, oh, this is a CDD sidewalk, hey, something got damaged, or somebody needs to get banned. Okay, now, let me swivel over to my list of who do I call, and it's got Angel, I think, it's the office number, and then the after hours number, then yours, and then
Russ's.
Russ's, yeah, so we went down the list, and Crow was in that same meeting, so they got the same thing for Crow, same thing for Canoa, and same thing, I think, for Enterprise. He actually got that loaded. or not.
It was just, the question was, who can authorize them to trespass somebody?
Me and Russ.
Are they aware of that?
Yes.
That's the problem.
Yes.
Okay.
It's
It's,
done it before.
but that's the question of they didn't upload the information we gave them 2 months ago into whatever database they need, so they knew who to call.
What concerns me is the default is default.
Yeah.
That's very concerning for a law enforcement officer. Yeah, we can't do anything. I'm like, well, that's a problem.
Well,
Yes, it is.
and that's not the position that he took when he came here. He said they definitely can trespass people under certain conditions, recognizing it's public property, so there's a different threshold or whatever, but there is a threshold that can be met where they can say, yeah, you're not able to stay on CDD property at all. Angel's authorized to be the one to.
I just find it disturbing that somebody can threaten to kill somebody and go on safe property, you can't touch me.
Yeah,
That makes a lot
pursuing
of
a criminal,
sense.
they
Well,
can
no, no, no,
certainly
they
go
can
on it.
arrest them out of public.
Yeah.
It's whether, like I said, trespass somebody off that sidewalk. If they threaten to kill somebody, they're going to jail, so you don't have to worry about trespassing them, because they're going to the hook.
Right, but you see where my concern is.
They need to have the contact info, they need, yeah. The other thing is, the other answer I did get back from him, and I shared it with Jan. The scooter issue, so we had brought it up, I think their attorney was on the line 3 or 4 meetings ago. When we had asked him about a summary sheet, Dave, I know you brought it up. After the last meeting, I spoke with our legal advisor, Alexander Carr, he advised me he had already attended your meeting a while back and addressed the issue regarding scooters. He stressed the fact we cannot provide legal advice, we can only direct you to publicly available information. Below is the link from Florida Highway, blah, 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 website. It's the same link they said. Bottom line, they're not gonna do anything.
So they don't care. Well, I do think it is a state law for a motorized vehicle to over a certain miles per hour and over, you have to be over 16 to actually write it. And you gotta write it on the road.
The only things I think we can do right now is have Angel make sure when they're assigning the details, they're stressing with the details, hey, you're, whatever the state laws are, reckless driving or however it ends up being, they need to be out there enforcing and helmets and everything else that we've heard.
But they are not acknowledging the state law. Right?
You talking about the sheriff or are you talking about
Talking to the sheriff, they're not acknowledging the state
they're
law.
acknowledging the state law, they just parroted it back to me.
Yeah, but they won't do anything.
He didn't say that. He
He
just
didn't
said-
say he would,
He just, yeah.
He's just saying he
He's
wants
just
to do a summary
refusing
sheet.
to give us a summary sheet. He's
but they
ignoring
haven't
it.
done anything yet, which means they're not going to. Right?
Unless you want to run for sheriff, brother, there's nothing else we can do in order. to
Yeah,
get
The
this
the
enforced.
only other option is have residents go to the county and ask the county to pass an ordinance.
What's
It's
the-
more stringent. which the county.
Pass an ordinance on our side.
We can't
I
enforce.
How can you
don't
enforce it?
think I think,
Oh, I think
I think
you
it
can.
says county and municipality. I don't think the statute says special districts can. I'd have to look, but I don't think so.
I'll,
No enforcement. Huh? Who are you gonna enforce it with?
Enforcement. I don't know, you just wanna put a policy out there, just saying this is what the policy is for our
I,
sidewalks.
I
Have a
like,
nice
I
day.
like Jan's idea, because I know residents are just. I'm sorry, what idea though? Well, to get people to engage the county. And show-
No, they need to, listen, they need to go bang on the sheriff's door and say, we're tired of it. And we've tried as a board for the better part of 8 months saying.
They're
the
gonna
same
get the
thing.
same answer, why would they not get anything different?
Well, and guess what?
Get the news out there, the sheriff doesn't want to.
There's a sheriff's election in November 24th.
So you're talking about a petition? Is that what we're looking for?
I'm not,
Just lots of phone calls.
of
Sometimes
phone
the
calls.
volume of phone calls can make them certain.
I'd, I'd like to see if we can put a resolution that says this is what is and is not permissible on our side. I'll see why we can do that.
draft a resolution.
Let's do that.
The statute is very unclear as to whether we can do that. It says that we can prohibit bike paths and stuff,
Well,
but
I
it
think
have to.
you can't do it, now whether it's enforceable or binding is a different issue, right?
Yeah, I mean, we could ask the county if they would pass something for us.
All right, well,
I mean, that's another option.
Well, maybe we should do that.
Oh, what?
18 miles an hour, have to have a helmet.
You gotta be over
Over
16.
16.
You already have to have a helmet.
I'm gonna put it all in one nice little package.
Okay.
That's what I'm getting at.
I'm worried about the practicality about, I mean, again,
Are we
my kids are riding
disseminating?
a scooter at 17 miles an hour, 19 miles an hour.
Is it motorized?
Yeah.
Yeah, deal. So. It's the one. I didn't make the one. Is the under 16?
First step is to have the sheriff enforce, try it for a month, see if they really enforce based
I
on.
mean, I would just,
With the detail.
with the
Yeah.
details, yeah.
Yeah,
I would just have the details to say, hey, guys, please
this is a number.
put it at the
one
top of your
concern.
list. And he did say that they're doing another, school zone one, where last time I'd asked him, hey, not to ignore any traffic things, but really what we're asking for here is take a look at kids and scooters and bikes and all that they're riding safely. And then we went out there and talked to the guys and they're like, no, we're just looking at cars. So we'll try to have them do that again. But again, at the end of the day, guys, I don't know as much we can do about this. All right. Consent agenda, do I have a motion?
Motion approved.
Wait, what are we doing?
Consent,
Oh,
yeah.
consent, okay.
Hold on. Time out, does that have the financials on it?
Yep.
I've got questions on the financials, but I would think, can we move the agenda to get these guys going and their presentations? And then follow back to that? They're waiting.
So you want to amend, what item were we, 7J?
Yep.
All right, so I need a motion to amend the agenda, 7J, put it up for now.
You don't need a motion.
Okay, move up 7J.
Done.
Look at that.
Yeah, you could have said that.
So we'll go to J
I
and,
didn't think we were gonna get called down on it.
so we're gonna go to J and then go back up to consent agenda. All right,
You want to run us through it?
sure. So I think you have 4 vendors, including your current, which is Solitude. You also have Kevin Wilt on Zoom, which is over Solitude as well. So what we typically do is we would ask all of them to step out, and you can talk one-on-one with each vendor, ask questions, whatever you would like to do.
Same process.
Same process unless you already know, if you've narrowed it down amongst yourselves and you only want to speak to 1 or 2 or whatever, we can do it that way too. This was an informal RFP, so there's no scoring criteria. It's basically based on board decision, on your discussion and how you want to move forward.
I did not have to select anybody, so unless somebody else has.
Okay.
Again,
I did, I mean,
okay.
I sent you my thoughts on it.
Yep. And if you want me to read that into the record, or if you just, I can keep it, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, but we could read that out and then that'll probably pick off the.
Okay, go ahead. Or do you want me to? Essentially, I think the concern was Solitude, number 1. Well, a couple were ruled out that were just way over the top with pricing. Another thing that of concern that was mentioned was Solitude lowering their price, almost $20,000. So that raised questions as to you've been charging X amount and now you've lowered it to $20,000. So that's a concern and a red flag. And the other one was that some came in really kind of way higher than kind of the rest of the group. And that's kind of where we are.
I'll just, in short, I've got a top two of Cross Creek and Premier, please.
Angel, I know you don't make recommendations if you work with either of those two companies.
I have not worked with Premier. Obviously, I've worked with Solitude. I have and currently do have some districts that have Cross Creek.
Any negatives or positives or?
No. I think it, in my opinion, which I'm not recommendation, but again, I think it comes down to your account manager. You know, but both companies, even Solitude on other districts that I have been responsive, handled issues and all of that. Cross Creek, same thing. Cross Creek is a little bit broader as far as the things they are able to do. They can do pond restoration, they can do all of those things, which offers a little more resources for you as a district. Solitude also has those capabilities as well. So, but yeah, no issues.
Dave, my only other question for you, just from a cost perspective, Topwater was right there. I'm looking at the shop group with. Premier
Yeah,
and
they
Cross
were the
Creek as
low
well.
bidder, but they didn't.
They didn't provide any information.
Yeah, no
They-
qualification.
nothing.
Okay.
We're doing this again. Okay.
Hmm.
Go ahead, you're good. Everybody's still there, but the TV, there we are.
Okay, so that's why you dropped them down. Okay.
And I even reached back out to ask if there was anything else they wanted to submit, and no.
Okay. I'd agree with Dave then. I mean, just purely on the price piece, knowing where our budget's at, I would agree with that down select, just based on price.
Who did Dave, who are you thinking about? Who do you like or prefer?
I had it narrowed down to two, which is Cross Creek and Premier.
Oh, Premier. Okay, I didn't hear that one.
Yeah, and Premier looked like they did a thorough job of going to each pond and taking a picture and saying which
Extremely
ones
thorough.
were,
Very impressive.
yeah, which ones were acceptable and which ones needed work.
Tom, your thoughts?
Those were the two I came up with. I was challenged with, Premier, I wanted to find out, I know there's a one-time service correction conditions, but I think it's something we can talk about.
So do we want to have them all step out and you can talk one at one?
Yeah.
One on one?
Well, are we just suggesting, is the board just dismissing the other four and just going with Cross Creek and Premier?
If that's what you'd like to do, that's a board decision.
Dave, you wanna make a motion on it?
You don't need a motion.
Yeah, need to decide.
Okay.
Or just those two.
Let's do those
I agree
two.
with Yeah, I agree with those two.
All right, then
Okay.
they'll talk to Premier and Cross Creek. Cross Creek, you want to step out and they'll start with Premier?
How do you go in reverse up?
I usually go alphabetical, but this time I'm going reverse. Sorry, Cross Creek.
What about Solitude online?
Kevin Wilt, if you can drop off the call or I can put you in the waiting room. They've dismissed all other.
Okay. Yeah, no, either way is fine with me. I
Okay.
would have liked the opportunity to speak a little bit as to why we did what we did.
Okay. If the board wants to, how about I put you in the waiting room?
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Thank
okay?
you.
Uh-huh. If I can just see how to do that. Oh, there we go. Put in waiting room. Okay. All right.
Hello, everybody. My name is Alex Perth. I'm the president of Premier Lakes. Appreciate the opportunity to speak with all of you this evening.
Excuse
want to
me,
start by-
just make sure he speaks into the microphone, please.
Is it on?
Is it on?
Oh, maybe it's off.
Can you
Go
hear me
ahead.
now, Cassandra?
Can you hear me,
Yeah,
Sandra?
okay, go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, so Alex Perth, Premier Lakes, president for the record. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with everybody this evening. The first thing I want to address is, and you made a comment earlier about she has not worked with us. Part of the reason for that is we are a newer lake and wetland management company. Our senior leadership team is comprised of people that have been in the industry for a very long time, myself 11 years. Our 3 senior leaders, including myself, together are about 75 years of experience. So we do have vast experience, but we are, newer as a company. A lot of our experience came from a company called Lake Masters Aquatic Weed Control, and I myself personally worked for Solitude for quite a while as well. So we do have vast experience, but that is a little bit of, you may not have seen this in the past. Part of the reason we began Premier Lakes is for communities that I think, like you, need really specific care. Part of that is because of your need for non-copper based algaecide. Part of your RFP spec is copper in your waterways, which does create some challenges from the lake management perspective. And that's really why I did this report that you talked about, to really look at what this community needs. You have a lot of algae, obviously a lot of commercial weeds. I've done my research through your board minutes, saying that you guys are actively looking at taking steps to utilize phosphorus mitigating technologies and other nutrient mitigation techniques. Because for your community, what I believe that you truly do need to, if you can't use copper, we do need to target some of the underlying issues rather than putting a band-aid through treatments, which we would have to use endethol products, which are hydrothol 191, one of the main ones, or hydrogen peroxide based algicides to treat your pond.
Can I just interrupt? Because I know they're not, okay. So this district, because stuff runs into Reedy Creek, you cannot use copper-based materials. So that's what he's talking about.
Okay.
So
I have definitely no idea why.
that was in the scope, in there, no copper-based material, which does, as he stated, puts a whole different spin on the treatment,
Is
because
that for all of our ponds or just for some of them that actually?
it's all of them, because they all,
Drains into Reedy Creek.
they will run into, and Reedy Creek, we can't have that. So
Got it.
that's what he's talking about. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I knew that they were gonna hone in on that.
She was reading minds there.
Yeah, sorry.
That's why.
I appreciate that.
I knew what we're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're right.
he always does. Yeah,
This was like 6 months ago. we spoke about this.
Right, and to follow back up on that, the reason that is so important is most of your copper-based algicides, whether it's copper sulfate or a chelated copper, are your most cost-effective and also your most effective at treating out, which is why you have a unique scenario here. The reason why I think Premier Lakes is the best vendor to work for you guys to work with is because of the personal touch that we bring. I think this is evidence of that, and this is something that our quality control work would be personally done by me, brings to the table to ensure your lakes are the best at all times. Now, the one thing that I would point out is, I believe Tom mentioned that we did have a one-time correction service fee. To me, that is negotiable. And it's up to the board of what standard and how quickly they want it to get there. I always aim to be the very best. That's why I call my company Premier Lakes. For us, there is probably in the first month about $20,000 worth of chemical that we need to go out in the very first month to get it quickly into what I would consider a good standard for your lakes. Hence why I did put the charge in there. Now,
Are you tracking what they've already, and I don't know, but what they've already put in those lakes? Or are you just saying it's insufficient?
based on my observations, the submerged weeds is the most costly to treat, and you have slender spike brush and southern naiad and hydrilla in a vast majority of your lakes right now. And for the most part, there was 1 or 2 that I would say looked like they had some minor damage to them. The rest of them look to be untreated. Now, I can't speak to what your current vendor has done within the last 2 weeks or if there's ongoing treatments happening. But at least on my survey, which was on the 10th of April, there was no evidence of treatment that I could see. It's also very important to stay on top of those submerged weeds because when they do get to a very high biological load in the lake, when you do kill them off, you end up creating an algae bloom. Well, anytime you spray submerged weeds, the breakdown material releases the nutrients in that aquatic vegetation, and algae will grow from there. So one of the things we do to also proactively manage your lakes, besides all the phosphorus mitigation techniques, aeration or bacteria products, there's a whole wide variety of different implemented, as well as some water testing to identify what specifically each lake would need based on high phosphorus or high nitrates. Proactively managing the submerged vegetation so it doesn't get out of control, which a lot of your lakes today are. Proactively managing, keep them at a low density can also benefit where you don't have those large nutrient releases and therefore hopefully not as many algae blooms. So that's one of the things we are very proactively managing the whole water body as a whole. We do manage very large CDs throughout the state as far as our repertoire. Fiddler's Creek CDD1 is an example, Sarasota National, they're, large contracts upwards of $200,000, so they're very familiar, with managing a community of this size, a lot of experience. I'm just referencing, CDDs that we're currently working at Premier Lakes. At prior, locations, we managed CDDs larger, so we do have vast experience in managing large communities that also creates significant problems. There's definitely a lot of efficiencies that need to have conditions when you are managing, 58 water bodies. And one of the points where I took talk back to is what Angel mentioned. The account manager is really what matters. What I look at for our people is we invest into our people very heavily because I want to have the best. I can't call myself Premier Lakes if we don't treat our people right, so I can have the best people available. Right now, our least experienced technician is 4 years. After that, it jumps all the way up to 15 years. So the team that we bring to the table as well is highly experienced and very passionate about it.
Who's the account manager if you were to get this contract? He's not here?
As far as the technician,
Whoever's gonna manage this account.
so me personally, as far as quality control, I won't do all the applications, but I will oversee everything.
So are,
You're the person who gets the phone call. and something.
are you my point of contact?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Also benefiting a small company like us is there's no red tape. You come directly to me. I'm the top decision maker. So, whatever I say, my word is my word. I'll stick to that.
I was very impressed with your proposal. It was quite in depth. It bothered me though, to see that we had like only 53 of our 57 lakes didn't have problems. I mean, they had problems. And you mentioned 2 major littoral shelves that had to be repaired. Is that included in your price of $132,000?
Yes, sir. Yes, the littoral shells will be included in the treatment.
Okay.
I'm part of the,
But I just want to go on because your predecessor, you found so many instances of failure. Okay. What was your opinion? What was going on?
in my opinion, an inexperienced technician. And the reason I go to that route, and I don't like speaking poorly of my competition, is I noticed a lot of drift burn there. What a drift burn is simply a technician sprayed a chemical and end up killing a lot of your grass. If you go around a lot of your lakes, you'll see brown, splotches in your turf. A good technician that's done this for a while, that has experience, you shouldn't see that. And I see that in a couple, not all, but a couple of.
You mentioned many times. I'm surprised.
Yeah, and seeing that leads me to believe somebody that maybe hasn't done it as often. One of the reasons I left Solitude is because it became difficult to really manage what we did because of the fact that we had a revolving door of employees, which is something I learned very quickly. Is you can't keep your quality high if you have something that maybe only done this for 6 months. I personally was a technician in the field when I began my career for 7 years. At 7 years, I was still learning new things. So when you have a guy out here that's maybe 6 months, could be 3 years even.
Okay. And for my own edification, not against you, but all the different proposals mentioned putting in pond dye. I was not aware that we dyed our ponds.
I didn't see any evidence.
Why would we do that?
So pond dye, really one of the main benefits that it can bring to your pond. There's some people do it for aesthetic value. Some people like seeing the blue. I personally like it because it kind of looks a little bit like tiny bowl to me. But one of the main reasons that this can bring is it can create essentially not allow sunlight to penetrate to the bottom of the lake. A lot of your algae grow right at that bottom layer. And just like any other plant or algae, they need light to grow. So you can essentially allow less photosynthesis to occur by dyeing the lakes. It's not my first choice of route to go. It's lake to lake. If you have a really shallow lake, it might be. I really promote a lot of bacteria. The bacteria really what that benefit does is it makes the phosphorus and nitrogen not bioavailable by actually sequestering those nutrients, which is the main growth factor for your algae.
Okay. Following up on 2 of your comments, so one is with the personnel. I appreciate that you'll be the QA guy and the guy would call when something goes, or Angel calls when something goes wrong. Who are you actually bringing in as the technician? So what you mentioned inexperience, only less than 6 months. Who do you have in mind who's actually going to be coming out here?
I have a technician that is it's a newer technician that's coming from a other company. He has 15 years experience to work with in the past.
Newer to you, but not new.
Newer to me,
Got it.
but not the industry. He's one of the people I've lined up. I've already got a job offer accepted from him, so we're transitioning him into our business. But I'm also gonna come out here for the very first 3 months. A client such as yourself that's as large and important to us, I'm gonna come out and do some treatments in the first 3 months myself, because I really want to make sure those first 3 months go smoothly and that pretty efficiently as smooth as possible. We have 6 times a month for visits in there. We'll likely go over that to make sure that you guys are receiving the best service possible. But we're very confident that we can really turn the lakes around and make them much, much better where hopefully you're not receiving many phone calls. And they're looking good, 12 months out of the year.
My other question, when you commented about littoral shells, about the repair of those would be under this, tell me what that means for you to repair those.
It's gonna be mostly, spray and fill in place. Now we can, the board wants to consider proposal, do you want to remove, so there's a significant amount of exotics in there. Some of it is cattails, so we can kind of, depending on the board's decision on how quickly you want to see, how much brown material you want to see, we can, knock back a little bit at a time, not chip away at it, in the course of the maintenance proposal. There are some taller exotics such as primrose willow. Some of those are, 15, 20 feet tall, which is why I said it does grow quickly, but that's why it was evident to me that there simply wasn't anything to be done in those total shells. So it was kind of concerning to me, knowing that I would assume that was part of your vendor's current contract, that that was where it was most evident that there was no treatment done within the total shells. Now you don't have many of them, and it would be a quick turnaround. It's going to be spray and fill in place. My only concern for you in that perspective would be it's a lot of material that's going to brown, and it's not going to have the best aesthetic short term.
One other question, do you stock the ponds with fish too?
Yeah, we have a wide variety of services. We offer a lot of the same services that Cross Creek and Solitude will. The one thing I will say is, we do not have dredges. We work with subcontractors for that. So if you guys were interested in doing dredging of your lake, we would use a subcontractor, which we have some really good subcontractors throughout the state where we can have a very competitive price. But what I would add to that though is, in my experience, I've found one lake in the history of my career where the lake couldn't have been treated differently, whether it was using bacteria or a combination of dye or some of the other phosphorus binding materials, where the lake, didn't really need to be dredged, because dredging is, as you guys probably know, is very expensive. So I usually try and take routes to go that maybe we can find a better solution that's a lot more cost effective first by managing the water quality. And, at the last resort, potentially looking at the dredging option.
I want to go back to one question, your expert opinion, because we have a request to stock one of the lakes with bluegill. I don't know what bluegill is. Is that something that would survive in the lake with?
Yeah, it absolutely would survive. I actually worked with the CDD today discussing bluegill stocking. It's
okay. That's all I wanted to know is that's it. I'll turn you over to you guys.
Good eating too.
Would
Thank
you?
you, Russ.
Yeah.
Not after it gets in those ponds.
Sandra, did you have any questions online?
No, I don't have anything. Thank you.
No, Jack, appreciate it.
Dave? Any questions from staff?
Thank you very much.
I missed the answer. How many CDDs do you currently do?
currently we do about a dozen.
Right.
And are they, your company footprint, I mean, when you say you're gonna be coming on site, how geographically, how big is that for you?
So we operate from Vero Beach on the East Coast down to about Delray, Orlando, west into Tampa, and then down south to Naples.
And that's all under you, or do you have peers?
I have peers. So vice president of our company, Bill, he runs from about Naples to about Braden River. I run from Tampa east into Orlando, and then we have Dustin, and the combination of Dustin and Bill, we run from Vero Beach down to the Point Beach area.
And under your portfolio in particular, how many other CDs customers?
So under my current portfolio, because I just came up from Fort Myers. Right now, we're very new in the Tampa and Orlando market. That's our newest expansion. Right now, just one small.
Okay.
And how long have y'all been in business?
2 years.
2 years. Perfect. Okay. Anything else? All right. Thank you so much. Our concierge Gary will see you out.
Great job.
Yeah, you're doing fantastic. You're getting a raise.
Yeah, we'll double the salary.
Double it. There
You're
you
gonna double your salary, Gary.
go. All right, so
Evening, board.
floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to present for you guys. My name is Derek. I'm with Cross Creek Environmental. I'm the general manager there. Have been for about 12 years now. I have been personally in the industry since the day I graduated from college. I graduated with biology and water chemistry degrees, as well as a minor in fish population dynamics. So I have been in the pond maintenance since day one. Was with a very large box company for about 7 years out of college, and then came to Cross Creek because that company used Cross Creek as a subcontractor. Saw where they were kind of going and decided to move to Cross Creek. So the unique thing about Cross Creek is that we are a full service stormwater management company. We do everything from A to Z, and we do all of it. Not only do we do it, but we do all of it in-house. We have every single person that does everything that we do on our payroll. We do plantings, removals, maintenance, shoreline restoration, structures, pipe cleanings, fountains, aeration, fish stockings, you name it. We do everything. So we have everything under our control. We have be able to manage the stormwater system, like I said, from front to back, be able to give you recommendations. I've already kind of given some, I've helped Angel a couple months ago, gave her just some opinions on some aeration quotes that you guys were looking at. So I've seen all the ponds. I walked them the past couple of months. I didn't put a report together because I have walked them a couple of times, but I've seen everything. I've seen all the issues that you guys have. And so I've seen them all. I know what you guys are doing. I think on the aeration proposals, we have a manufacturer which we can get some good discounts for. I think I was able to save you guys like 30 grand or something like that off of what you were originally quoted.
It was,
comparing apples to
it was
apples.
45.5. You and I discussed it.
We include in the RFP, and we should ask the last one. Do we include in the RFP that any new vendor would need to maintain the warranties on the areas we just had installed?
They don't maintain the warranties, but what we did ask for is if you do aeration maintenance, and we would want a maintenance plan like we currently have. And some of those, I did not look at Premier's, but some of them flat out just don't do aeration. There was only 2, I think, maybe 3 that said, yeah, we do aeration. Cross Creek was one of them. I don't know about Premier. I have to look at their proposal.
So maintenance of the aerators was not included in the RFP?
Yes,
It was.
it was.
It was a separate price.
The majority of warranties with aeration systems, for the most part, are transferable.
Right.
Yeah, because you're getting the parts from the manufacturer anyway, so manufacturer doesn't mind. And you're not talking about a 10-year warranty anyway. You're talking about a 3-year warranty on most of your compressor components.
Correct.
So it's almost all of it's transferable.
For the record, though, we were led down that road that, you know, there's aeration that you should look at for these areas. But I'm like, okay, well then go ahead.
So a lot of the ponds that I looked at, a good portion of them do need aeration, but there are several that do not.
Russ, that's your man.
So,
Russ hates
and
aeration.
actually Russ reached out to me today, and I'm gonna get with him about looking at some of your shorelines here over the next couple of weeks. As well as Angel asked me to kind of take a look at some of all of the other ponds on their shorelines specifically to kind of help you guys and get ahead of possible planning on doing some other restorations or giving you some recommendations or things that you might need to do in the immediate future, or as well as, 4, 5, 10 years down the road. So we manage a lot of CDDs. I think total count wise, we're around 50 to 60 total CDDs is what we manage. Anywhere from Naples all the way up the West Coast through Orlando. We do quite a few in Orlando here, all the way up to, we actually do the complete maintenance for the villages. That's almost 2,000 acres of water, including almost 300 aeration systems. So we are a big company, but not a company to where you become a number. You still have the name of Celebration CDD. We have about 60 employees total in our offices that range from Fort Myers to Palmetto's our main office, to Tampa, Orlando, and then the villages. So about 60 employees spread across all of that. I personally, like I said, since I'm the GM, what I do for you guys in particular, any of our what we would call keystone accounts, with which we $10,000 a month and over, What I'll do is I actually attend your meetings on a quarterly basis. If you would like me to come more often, I would be more than happy to do that. But I personally will attend your meetings at no less than a quarterly basis. We will also put together a report with the ponds themselves and how the progress is going in particular areas and things that we're seeing, and have like picture report with breakdowns and all of that to be able to present to you at the quarterly meetings.
So sorry if I missed it. You're the account manager, you're the one that's interacting daily, or is there somebody else that's gonna be here?
Yeah, so what I'm gonna do is myself is gonna be, oversee the whole entire thing. The actual account manager is going to be Matt Jones, who runs our operations. And then the technician who will be on site is a technician that we've had, he's worked for us for 8 years now. He has about, I think it's 17 years of total experience. He's been in the Orlando area. He actually got us up and going at the villages, got all of our tech squared away, got all that going, everything good, and then moved back down here. So he has a tremendous amount of experience, very detail oriented, and focuses on all the little things. Our big thing is our reporting is all electronic. So we have tablets, techs have tablets, they'll go through, they'll input all that data on that tablet. If they see an issue or they see something good or bad, they'll actually take a picture of it on the tablet. And then once they're all done, all they have to do is hit send, and that electronic report goes to whoever the contacts are on property. And then you know exactly immediately at that point in time the things that are happening on site. Just to talk quick about our proposal in general, 6 times a year. I know you guys are, since you have the Reedy Creek connection, there are no copper. That's not a problem at all. We do include, if you saw on there, there are 2,000 aquatic plants that we include on your contract. So if you have anywhere that you want to put those over the course of the annual basis, we will install those aquatic plants, pickleweed, arrowhead, spike rush, free of charge. As well as the other thing that we do, which no one else can do, since we do everything in-house, is I have 1 full day of a wetland crew on site each month for you. So it's 6 guys, it's a crew. That's why we're not doing the upfront charge. We can go through, and since you're connected to Reedy Creek anyway, you have to use very specific herbicides at very specific rates and be very detail oriented. So you have to, things are so bad, you can't come in and just hit everything hard. They have to be progressively hit over multiple months. So as we start to treat that stuff over the next few months, we'll actually have crews then come in and do some removals in areas on emergent vegetation, grasses, cattails, things like that that are growing above the surface that we can actually cut and remove. But you will have a crew like that one day a month for the contract. The other component that I did was I added a no increase for 2025, as well as a no more than 3% for 26 and 27.
And just to be clear, he said 6 times a year, but it's actually 6 times a month
Sorry.
that they're on site. And what he's talking about the wetlands, we don't really treat the wetlands, but if you've ever been out there, there's ditches, those ditches that run along, that's what he's referring to, that have just overgrown. And we've gotten complaints about that being stagnant water and stuff because the flow is obstructed because it hasn't been cleaned out. So that's what he's talking about getting crews out here. It's not per se in the wetlands, it's those ditches along.
Yeah, we just call them our wetland crew.
Right.
But you do have areas on some ponds where you do have vegetation, grasses and things like that growing above the surface. So as we go through and spray those, instead of leaving all that dead woody vegetation around the perimeter, we'll come in with a crew in those specific areas and we'll cut that and pull that out.
And how often is that?
We have a crew on site 1 day a month. So you'll have them 8
And
hours,
that's part of
6
the-
guys, that's part of your contract.
Okay.
Yep. And like I said, the reason we can offer that is because, like I said, everyone's on our payroll, we do it all in-house. We don't have to sub everything out. It helps us in terms of the treatment. We don't have to put out as much herbicide. We don't have to do those specific things. We can have a crew go in and actually manually do those things to help the technician behind them.
The things you mentioned at the beginning of other services that you do,
Yes.
storm drain cleanup.
Yep.
And I don't, who does that for us now, or does anybody do that?
Our staff does it.
We really haven't had to have that done.
Yeah,
Okay.
But I know what he's talking about. I mean, you can get storm pipes clogged up with
yeah.
Yeah.
mud. So we have the county come out sometimes.
Oh, I was talking about
Oh,
more
yeah,
the
fish.
grates, the storm grates, like
Right.
our staff will go do it, but they have the capability, and they can also, when they're out there, let us know, hey, this one is this, but actual storm drain cleaning, they can do that.
All of our technicians is required as part of their 90-day training, because they're all cross-trained. They have to both as well as they have to be on a dredge, or they have to be part of our shoreline erosion crew. So they're all cross-trained. So as our technicians are going around trying to be proactive, they'll see things on site along the shoreline by a structure, And those are items that they'll take pictures of and include them on the report, to be able to stay ahead of things like that. So instead of a $2,000 fix, we might get it to when it's a $500 fix.
You mentioned shoreline erosion. Okay, I think you've looked at our
Mhm.
lakes and we have a lot of shoreline erosion.
Mhm.
Is that included in your contract?
The shoreline erosion is not included, no, unfortunately. Sorry.
I didn't think it
Good
was.
try,
All
Jack.
right, I'm trying. All right, yeah, looking at.
2 points away from giving.
Looking at our ponds.
Yep.
Okay, I'd say a lot of them need dredging. How much more is dredging for?
Well, so part of the unique component that we do is one of the shoreline restoration techniques that we use is actually a tube, which we can hang hang along the shoreline, and we can actually dredge the material and put it up into the tube. And then we can sod over the top of it, tube disappears, you now regain 4 to 5 feet of land, and you have an underground slope seawall. That's about 60% of our business as a company. I have 6 crews,
That is
7 crews going 10 hours a day, 6 days a week.
And would that be something that the one time a month crew could do?
No, that's a separate crew. They would come in.
Yeah.
Because the other part is not only can we do the tube, but we can do, I'm not gonna list them all, but there's 12, 15 types of shoreline restoration that you can do along the shoreline, depending, whether it's riprap or just dirt or geoweb or whatever it is. We can do every single one of those. So every pond might be a little bit different, just kind of depending on the slopes or the location, the depth of the pond, things like that. So what we do is every single pond will have its own specific restoration plan if it needs to happen.
So, that was my next question. So when you guys if you were to get the contract, would you do an assessment of all the ponds and give us kind of a report?
So
of-
that is something that we can, that is something that we can do. We can work with you. Typically I charge $1,500 basically just for my time to go around, but that's something that we can work on. We go and we put a report together. It's much like a pond report, but we walk around every single pond, note all the issues, maps, pictures, and then what we do is put a table together at the end and we prioritize everything. We list all the issues we found and prioritize them. As simple as can be color coded, red, green, and yellow. Red emergency, yellow, next 2 to 5 years, and green, 5+ years. Kind of gives you guys a very simple piece of paper in front of you that where you can see everything and kind of understand where you're currently at. Because a lot of these shorelines, you have no clue what they really look like.
So let me ask you then, how did you come to the conclusion of knowing where we're at and the problems we're having without going through analysis like that pond by pond?
From going around looking at like for the aeration systems and for the nutrient abatement, and just looking at the ponds themselves over this last week, and then doing the aeration things, just by walking up to a pond, I can immediately see what has issues, what might the influences or the issues on that particular pond might be.
All right, generally what your assessment has been at looking at these ponds, are all of them in trouble?
No, not by any means. And they vary. There's a handful that are critical that I would, say, you probably want to get fixed in the next 3 years. And then there's a good portion of them, by a good portion, I mean probably 50+%, that are just minor little things. Swales between homes, that's where you get a lot of water that's focused, that comes down between the homes. Typically you get that bunched out of the shoreline because all that water coming down. Little patches, fixes and things like that. So I would say overall, yeah, you have shoreline erosion, but I've seen far worse.
What about the state of each pond now? Are there a large percentage that
I
need
I
work, or-
would say probably 95% of the ponds, I would say, are in bad condition. Of the 57, I'm gonna say you're probably at 53, 54 of your ponds are in bad condition. Anything from submerged, from hydrilla, to some baby tier, slender spike rush, naiad, and then on the surface, the stuff you can really easily visually see as you're driving down the road. Obviously, the bright green filamentous algae that you have along the perimeter.
I love that color.
It's very attractive.
It's
right?
celebration green,
Yeah,
actually.
exactly. See, yeah, exactly. And some of that algae is a byproduct, not to defend what's, but some of that algae is a byproduct of if there is a treatment going on to target some of the submerged, some of that algae is a byproduct. As that vegetation decomposes, it releases those nutrients. Typically, your first vegetative component, your vegetative item that starts growing in the ponds is algae. So, but you have a lot of algae. So, and I've seen it, the ponds over the past several months, and they haven't changed a whole lot. They've gotten progressively worse, and not progressively better.
So I'm sorry, maybe I misunderstood. So you're saying 95% of them, 53 out of 57 need help.
Yes.
But then I also heard you say only a fraction of them are the Danger Will Robinson flashing red.
Vegetation.
He's
53,
two separate
54
issues.
have vegetative issues.
Got
And
it.
then restoration.
Algae, things like that.
Got it.
Or shoreline erosion, small portion, you do have a large, 50% chunk that need some item to some degree. But you do have a good handful, 5, 6 of them that have some significant issues. And I haven't looked at the ones at Russell. I don't know if that's general shoreline erosion. I don't know if that's point erosion in specific areas around structures or what it is, but.
And is your assessment on the ones that are of that 95%, how many of those are things that within a reasonable amount of time of you guys starting the contract would be just, hey, needs better treatment, need
More attention, correct. More care.
what percentage of that 95 falls into something that would just be covered under the base part of the contract versus
100%.
you need it, so you're not really seeing many that need a lot of aerators.
Well, aeration isn't gonna be for the vegetation. Aeration is just for the overall health of the pond, the stormwater system. Like I said, you are connected, you do have that Reedy Creek connection. So you do want your water within reason, financial reason, you want it to be as good as possible, but quality as high as possible. Before it leaves, before you leave your site, you do have a, kind of a due diligence to be able, to leave your water in a good condition. That's what the aeration will help do. You're gonna help improve the overall health, the ecosystem of that pond and the overall stormwater system in general, just by putting the aeration systems in. Vegetation is almost exclusively attention to detail, treating something when it's there, retreating something if it needs to be, not turning a blind eye.
My measure of the health of the pond is whether or not we've got 20 residents screaming, oh my God, it's covered in algae.
And that's the same way the villages does it. The villages does not care what the ponds look like. What they care about is they track every single call that comes in. And they have a percentage rate that the threshold they try to stay under each month. That's all they care.
We do care what they
Yeah.
look like. I don't,
Obviously,
because nobody's calling and bitching about it.
Correct.
But that's our measure is when it gets covered in algae. I don't know any other measures to look at.
Can I ask a question?
No.
So Tom is our maintenance liaison.
Okay.
And I'm just giving an example. We walked the pond, 2 months ago?
Yeah, 2.5 months ago.
And there were some things that we pointed out. One, which is definitely something, and it is in the scope, especially on Water Street. There's canna lilies all along there. But so the slope comes down, the landscapers can only treat, as you know, they can't get within 15 feet of the pond. So now we've got this area down here from the water line up a little bit, and it's weeds. How would you guys handle that?
So in a specific area like that, what I would recommend, there's a herbicide that you can actually use. Now granted, it typically only works during the cooler months per se, or the shorter days, but you can use a herbicide to selectively treat in those specific buffer areas. But the other thing would be too, especially once we start getting out after the first couple of months, is to utilize that crew that you'll have on site for 1 day a month and have them go through those specific areas and manually address that vegetation, cutting it, removing it, pulling it, things like that.
How does that crew get tasked with things? Is that Russ and Angel coming up and saying, here's our 20 problems, and you guys just go and make it happen, or how does that?
Yeah, so it would be getting them on site to determine if there's an area in particular that they would like to see that crew go to. And then it'll also come, our technician, every time he's on site, has a task list for both himself as well as if he sees something like an area, sees a bubbler go down, he'll put it on his task list, and our aeration technicians will get notified about that. So same thing with the wetland crew. When he sees something like that, sees something that he thinks needs to get addressed by them, he'll put it on the task list. That will go to them, and then that would be an item that they can also utilize that we can cross-reference with on-site as well as our management to find out what areas are going to be the best areas to send that crew to that particular one.
How do you price out aerators when they come through? I mean, is it just a project by project? How do you?
Yeah, project by project, because your main contributors in the price are A, power, is it there and how to get it there? And B, how long are the runs from the compressor out to the diffusers that sit on the bottom of the pond? That hose, on a per installation basis, the hose is almost just as expensive as what the system is and the installation is itself.
Wow.
So those long runs make a big deal. If you got 1,000 feet of air hose compared to 5,000, makes a big difference. It's $10,000 difference almost in system to system.
Any other questions?
Question.
No other questions?
Cassandra, you have any questions on one?
Sandra?
No, I'm listening to all of the bad news, so.
Well, sometimes it's gotta get worse before it gets better, but I hear
All
it.
right. Do you want him, you want him to step back out? You guys can discuss and then we'll call them both back in?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, Gary, concierge. But now,
You're not gonna stand outside there, Gary, just make sure nobody's got it up to the door.
kept to the door.
You wanna hear from Kevin now or later?
Later.
I would say later. I mean,
It's
if
not
you,
important.
unless y'all have some burning desire to go stay with Solitude, then I would say no.
I have a burning desire.
Somebody,
Okay,
yeah, I would not talk. to
so
them.
I think what you come down to is you've got two companies, I think
That are totally different.
totally different, total different years of experience, total different years and everything. So I think you have an easy solution. I mean, an easy conversation to have.
I'm gonna go with Cross Creek. I mean, this guy.
Yep.
Oh, wait, hold on. Is that a motion, Jack?
Yeah. That's second.
So Jack.
Sandra?
Yeah, I
um,
like Cross Creek.
Greg. Okay, all in favor? Sorry, I
Aye.
stole your thunder.
There you go.
I stole your thunder. All right, you can,
I've got nothing.
Good thing I didn't have to.
What's that?
Good thing I didn't get it. Oh.
Why, you don't?
You said you wanted to be out by now?
yeah, we're trying to move this along.
I just had to say that for you.
You want me to announce it?
Well, you had your chance.
Yeah, it's your chance.
Go ahead, steal on
Okay.
her again?
Thank you both for attending, taking time out to come out, really looking over the property and everything. We really greatly appreciate it. I think both great companies, but the board has decided to go with Cross Creek.
Oh, boy, they got it.
Oh, I think I just got fired. Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you.
Derek will have, Jan will draw up contract. We'll get it over to you. We'll send out, we also need a motion to terminate Solitude and we'll get their termination notice out and then,
What's the time? Is that August?
I have to look up their contract, but I want to say it's a 30-day, or did you do a 60-day, Jan? Do you remember?
I can't remember. It was
Is-
one, we did a 60-day, but I don't know if it was them or something.
Yeah,
Okay, so for a motion for the board, then I'd make a motion that we terminated the earliest convenience.
June 1, I would say. It,
It's gonna take time for
Yeah.
Jane to negotiate the contract,
If
whatever,
it's-
whatever
yeah.
that comes up to, whatever the earliest timing is.
if
Yeah,
we
I think
can
that's
get
right.
in before
Yeah.
June 1, would you guys be able to do that?
Yep.
If we can do it before June 1?
Yep.
Okay. All right, perfect. Thank you both. We
you.
appreciate your time.
Have a great night.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
You need a motion to terminate? I'll make a
Yes.
motion to
Yes.
Terminate Solitude
Second.
at the earliest convenience as can be, no gap in coverage,
We got it.
I still second.
blah, blah, blah. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Now when we let him back.
Now, do you want,
Penalty box?
do you want to talk to him?
Just.
Okay.
we're gonna- okay.
And
Yeah.
yeah, make it short and sweet.
Why don't you let him know? So we can, that way it's not a. 10-day
Yeah.
trial.
Kevin?
I'm here.
Hi, Kevin. Just to let you know, the board does want to hear from you, but I just want to let you know they did decide to go with another vendor. But they obviously wanted to hear from you.
No, thank you, Angel, and thank y'all, board as a whole. I appreciate y'all giving me a minute of your time and just a little, talk a little bit about why we did what we did and our partnership. And I think ultimately that's what it comes down to. We've been partnered with y'all for a year and a half, and yeah, I mean, there's no denying it. May 2022 when we sent y'all that initial inspection of the previous vendor, it was rough. It was rough. And this year and a half has not been easy. It's taken every cent and time we have put into it. And it has not been a cakewalk by any means, but the thing that really stood out and the reason why we changed the pricing the way we did, other than the fact that, like I said, we want to retain y'all's business, we don't want to lose y'all, is y'all. It's y'all sitting right there. Y'all are a proactive board. I think Mr. Tom actually mentioned this in April at the meeting when we were there. Y'all want to be proactive, and that goes a long way, that especially as we're trying to reduce the impact of copper, we're doing other things like aeration, Utrazorb, all these things that we've done over this past year and a half. That has been a key differential in why we are able to change the pricing and be even more competitive. Yes, we are able to, have the largest buying power of anybody in the country, but the real fact is what y'all have been able to do. So, I understand y'all have made your decision. If there's anything we can do in the future, we're always here. But I will just leave y'all with that is, yes, this is just a baseline. That maintenance is a baseline. It's the proactive things that y'all as a board are doing that makes the difference and will set y'all apart as a community.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, y'all have a good evening.
Thank you.
You too.
Okay, we were at the consent agenda, but Dave, you had questions about the financials?
Yes.
Okay, I have them up.
All right, I gotta find my question. It's a basic question, which is, I looked at those items which are at or near 100% spent.
Mm-hmm.
Now, where did I put it? Let's see.
Yeah,
There we go.
Which, are you looking at the projections?
No.
Okay, year to date. Okay, perfect.
All right, engineering, legal.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, next. And we don't have to get into the detail. I think it's just kind of putting a spotlight on them and say like, hey, we really need to be cognizant of for the rest of the fiscal year of being judicious and how we spend these.
And that's what I brought up in the workshop, because I highlighted those items in red and yellow on the workbook.
Yeah.
And basically, so typically what happens is I usually do it 6 months in where I start going, okay, guys, we're at this point, we need to kind of reel back only needed things. But since we start our budget process so early, I start doing that and towards your budgets and kind of really highlighting those items to show we're getting there. We really need to watch these items.
The others I highlighted on the maintenance side was mulch and irrigation or about tap.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just to help you all figure it out, we are billing the community center now as a separate item. So we've got eminent domain separate, we've got the Mattamy stuff separate, and then from now on the community center separate. So you can at least get the tallies of where our work is coming from.
Well, I was gonna say, I'm not trying to make excuses on it, but I mean, we've had things come up in the past 12 months that the eminent domain thing, we didn't know we were gonna get into it.
Hopefully we'll get reimbursed for that. The Mattamy stuff will
Right.
get reimbursed.
Madam stuff, yeah.
And I think
I've
I've asked Mark to do the same, if we can separate those out. And I'm also have a summary that will be sent out to you all as well. That'll be in, I don't know if we need to include it in your agenda package, but Jan, myself, Mark, Dave submitted some stuff. I've got Greg's list that we've done on this master plan so far and kind of the amounts that have been allocated to those or how much it has cost to do those things.
Well, I think to Jan's point, though, I mean, and I wasn't tracking, or you may have mentioned it, I forgot about it, that we were gonna get reimbursed from Mattamy for some of the legal issues
Yes,
there.
if they go over the
Mhm.
1,500 or wherever the application fee is, I forget if we even charge.
Okay.
That they
So-
reimburse the difference. I'm not sure where that, it generally doesn't get applied against it. It comes in as
No.
revenue.
It comes in as
I guess-
miscellaneous revenue.
To Dave's concern, though,
Mhm.
is there a way, and it's not just a legal thing, I mean, because I think Mark's time also gets, at least I know if the eminent domain, he gets covered for that as well, or.
It depends. We negotiated a 15% portion of the fee to come back to us, and then we
Right.
reimburse the district for anything spent. So if it's
I mean,
at 15%, it'll get covered.
But if it's
I
over,
wanna
then it's
understand
not.
The cash flow, that, hey, we're having to put out, just like we did for the FEMA stuff, hey, we have to put out, but we know we're gonna get reimbursed at the end of it. But is there a way to notate somewhere in the financials that, hey, even though we're, at 75% of spend and we're only 50% of the way through the year, we've got $20,000 in costs that we're expecting to get recouped? Is there?
Well,
We don't
there's,
have that much.
yeah, there's, I mean, obviously in your budget items, no, because those aren't, but this kind of stuff, like the planning, the master, I mean, we don't really are not there yet to say what's gonna be reimbursable and what's not.
I'm talking about the things that have been identified that are. So
Well,
for eminent
that's
domain,
What we're
Yeah.
talking, yeah.
anatomy, I'm trying to find a way to quantify that. So when we look at the budget,
I
and
can,
we say,
I can try to pull those totals. I'm sure you have them too.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's gonna be part of your summary, so you can see. And in your new budget layout, as we discussed, we're gonna put a master planning, thing in there, but
just for any things when we are expecting to get reimbursed.
yeah, and maybe you wanna put, I mean, you don't want your, like Dave and I think we agreed on this. You don't want your budget to be 30 pages long, right? Because then your financials become 30 pages long when you start adding in all these subcategories.
Well, and I'm not even talking necessarily just for next year's budget. I'm also talking just for this year's execution of the budget and just our regular financial statements.
Yeah.
Even if there's a side comment on the field to pay, although we're running hot, hey, $5,000 for eminent domain costs or something, just
Mm-hmm.
so we can notate on there.
Comment, sure.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. We can do that.
That way
And-
Dave doesn't ask questions, and I can move him like the Southern Gen.
We like to.
No, but that's good. And typically it's done mid-year when I start notifying my districts, hey, you need to kind of cut back. But with you guys, we start the budget so early, so it's just very easy to do during the budget when I present it and highlight stuff in red and go,
Yep.
hey, guys, we're at this. So what do we have next year? We may want to budget more money, or we need to start curbing it. But yes, we can break out as much stuff as we can. We'll break
Okay,
out and
yeah,
maybe
I can pull
even.
numbers if you want to.
If it changes monthly, maybe what if I keep a spreadsheet, I can send that up to accounting and they can kind of put a footnote on the financials that say X amount is,
Yeah.
is reimbursable, can it come from legal, engineering and whatever? Because right now, if there's not a line to code something to on your financials, they're gonna code it like for legal.
Yeah.
They're not gonna know if it's eminent domain or any of
Right.
that. So they're gonna code it to legal. So she's gonna show
Yeah, it's
80%
tax
over.
Okay.
Correct.
And I have it. I bill
Yeah.
under separate, you get separate invoices for each one
Okay.
now.
Yeah.
So I can pull those totals for you.
So it's easy to do at the end of the year.
Mhm.
If we don't break it out now, at the end of the year, when we say, okay, Jan, we spent 80,000 with Jan, she's gonna go, yeah, but 65 of that is reimbursable through this, this and this. Or this was the master
Yeah,
plan,
The eminent domain time should be totally reimbursable. We don't spend that much on it. That's not a problem. And then Mark will have to give me his eminent domain time to try to submit to see if we can put extra something.
Yeah, so so short answer is yes, and your answer is yes.
And I'll be, I'll
Get her,
be,
yes,
yes.
There you go.
Yes.
Dave, what else you got?
nothing under the consent.
The motion on the consent agenda.
Hold on, we gotta.
Second,
I'll go back to
Second.
the thing.
in favor?
Aye.
Who made the motion?
Dude,
Tom,
I second.
Dave? Okay.
Um,
7A, event use application for the Democrat Celebration Club Registry.
Mrs. Gunderson is on Zoom, and she had asked if this had come up yet, and at the time it had not. Now we're at that portion.
sitting there?
Yeah,
So, yeah. I'm gonna have just a general question if you, and I don't have a right or an answer on this. But on, there is on L, discussion of events on the Esplanade. And then there's the event use application, Democrat celebration. Is there a reason one doesn't happen for the others, or?
I think it's just the way that Brenda put it on there. I don't
Okay,
think
doesn't
it,
matter to anybody?
The 7L was the conversation we had last month generally about what's our intent with the Esplanade.
Okay.
With the election
Okay, I
competition.
got it.
This was, since we haven't made a decision of
This is
we
the
are
first
or
one.
aren't gonna
I
include
got
it in process of application.
Right. Perfect.
Angel, the only question I had on this one was, when we delegated to you to approve, was there something abnormal about this one?
we always put this one on just because it is political. It's a Democrat, not that it matters, but that we bring it to the board.
Okay.
That's the only reason.
I got a question, because it seemed,
And you do it every year.
I understand.
you've approved it
It
every
seemed very vague, because I didn't know where they're gonna do it at, what time they're gonna do it, and when.
Miss Gunderson, can you unmute yourself?
I know it was various times, is what it said, various times. various
Yes,
locations.
have I unmuted myself?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, that's a relief. That's a good start. It's, as I put in the little application, since these are all volunteer people who do this, and I know all of you have had contact with volunteer efforts, this isn't like an event where we're staging something and everything is organized and efficient. And this is about when we can round up people who are willing to help do voter registration. And we're trying to do the right thing by refiling this application with CCDD. As it says, and as some of you know, we've been doing that on CCDD turf at Food Truck Fridays for a year now, and it's gone really well, and we get a good response from people. Well, now we thought, well, it'd be good to do something down in Island Village now that there are lots of people down there. And we just wanted to continue to do things right and get the right permission to do that. Now, I don't live in Island Village. A couple of people who do sent me photos of where we might want to do it. Which seems to be on CCDD turf. But this is why it is all vague, and I do apologize for that. But in managing volunteer people, what works best I found is get permission, find specific locations that is good with whoever runs those locations, and then start rounding up volunteers saying, okay, we've got permission, we can do this on such and such a date. And then people will say, oh, I can't come on that date. Could we make it that date? Yes, we can make it that date. That's what contributes to the vagueness. Does that make sense?
I understand what you're saying, but when you say Celebration Boulevard, that sign, I don't know where you're at.
The sign is the celebration sign. I didn't know how else to describe that. You know, the big wall that drivers run into periodically and end in the lake.
World Drive and
The
Boulevard.
planner.
Yes, that would have been a much better way for me to have expressed that. Yeah.
So let me ask, and Angel, I remember this was a discussion point when we initially approved this last year. So 2 questions for you. One, I thought we had approved it that if they were gonna do this and kind of leave it open-ended on the times, they were gonna have to coordinate with you a couple days in advance just to make sure, hey, there wasn't a big event or something else going down that would be conflicting with that. So was
That
that,
is correct.
has that worked well? Has that been challenging? Any issues?
Nope.
Okay. So it would
We
be,
didn't have any issues.
So in locations in Island Village, is it near the?
just around the pond, Esplanade area.
Oh, the Esplanade area.
I'm
Right
asking-
there with those
Yeah.
steps or whatever.
Is that what you're intending? And would be by kind of by that in Isle Village, be sort of around that pond area where there's a little smaller Esplanade?
That sounds good if there are people there, unless you all think, or is anybody who knows Island Village better would think there's
Gotta have
more
a
traffic.
location. We can't have a roaming.
No,
I know, and I prefer to
that's
keep it there
problem.
just that way. It's
No defined area.
Yeah, we need a defined area.
Okay.
I will say, I'm very nervous about the planner on World Drive, just because it's just a chaotic intersection.
I just don't think you're getting a lot of foot traffic.
I don't want to get.
I wouldn't do it there.
Oh, okay, well, would,
Yeah, high
does CCDD have any territory across the street, like between, because a lot more traffic goes in and out of McDonald's and 7-Eleven, and I know they are owned by companies. Does CCDD have turf between the sidewalk and the curb on that side?
We do. My comment would be, I'm concerned just if the intent in the Esplanade areas, both in Isle Village and in downtown traditional Celebration, whatever you want to call it, is to get foot traffic there. That makes sense to me. I'm concerned about doing it anywhere where the intended audience is cars and all of a sudden it becomes a traffic safety thing. So I would be fine doing it in the 2 Esplanade areas. I would not be comfortable anywhere on the roads where it looks like it's a.
I agree.
That whole area is very.
They would be better served by going into that public shopping plaza and doing it there.
And we've thought about that. We love
You get
we
better
love
foot
Celebration Point, but then all that territory is privately
No,
owned, right?
You'd have to work with Publix.
It's privately owned. But
they were uninterested in our doing that in the water tower Publix location. But yeah, we
my-
can,
My
We
other
could
concern
ask.
is just anywhere on sidewalks in general, at least in the Esplanade, people can still kind of freely move around. You do it on a
Yeah.
sidewalk. It's
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
much
Oh, yeah, we
sidewalk.
we don't block traffic, we don't block sidewalks. That's why we like grassy spots between sidewalks and a curb. That fits us perfectly. And if there's a tree, that's even better for shade since we do this in the daytime. But we've got umbrellas if we need to bring them.
Say for right now, Island Village, the Esplanade and the Esplanade downtown.
Those
I
are
don't
the
have
two-
problems.
Those are
Those are the
Those
two
are
dangerous
only two
areas.
places. I don't want to see somebody pulling a car up on the.
No, it's
Side
just,
No.
well,
No,
it's just.
no.
There's already so many car issues, so,
I'd make a motion to approve that with that amendment of those two specific locations and then times.
yes.
Was it like 3 days ahead of time, 5 days ahead of time? They were contacting you 5 days. Is that reasonable? And I think 5 days ahead
Yeah.
of time that you.
Yeah, 5
Okay.
days, 5 days volunteers could do. Yes, thank you.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, with 5 days advance notice for those two areas. I make a motion to that.
So moved.
Any other discussion? All's in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much. We really appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. Thanks for staying on.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Hi.
7B, acceptance of audited financial statements for fiscal year 2023.
Can I talk about that?
Sure.
Can you?
Yeah.
All right.
No, yeah, I was just, I'm sorry, I was
All right,
reading it.
the
I was like,
audit
what?
On March 29th, I want to thank Emily Smallwood, Gary Hudspeth, Matthew Woodall, and Mike Jackson, and Tina, and of course Tammy from audit company. They did a great job going through this. I can't tell if this audit listed in the financial section is actually the revised audit or not.
Yeah,
It is?
it's supposed to have all of their comments
Right.
and everything in
I
it.
didn't see it, does it?
I know, so.
Yeah.
We basically said they did a real good job with it. Okay, we didn't have any major problems with it. The audit committee came up with a couple of thoughts, so. One of the things was to look at our CDs and money market and transfer most of that into T-bills, which we talked about in the budget.
That's right.
And the other thing was there's concern, a minor concern, I'd say, that our net position has declined $2.5 million over the previous year, and that's probably due to depreciation.
I was gonna say, a lot of that, I saw the numbers, it was over 2 million appreciation.
Mhm.
Like $400,000 difference in reserve.
Correct.
Let's see. Gary, what else do we have?
Well, the concern was that it's not sustainable.
Yeah, well, depreciation.
So we need to buy stuff.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
And as a byproduct of that, one of the things that Mike Jackson brought up, which is going to affect us in the future possibly, is that in 1994, when they developed the district here, they approved $405 million for bonds. Okay, we've used 153 million so far. We cannot reuse the bond. Okay, so down the road, if we exceed that for some reason, we will have to refile.
So out of the 400 and whatever,
405 million,
how much have we used?
153.
153.
So after how many years?
That's 24 years, 28 years.
And
But that
and
doesn't expire though. that's
it's
just-
an
Well, no,
easy process to
yeah.
revalidate,
Just have to revalidate.
I don't think that's a concern.
and we may choose to do it depending on the project.
Right.
Does that,
The
does
scheme
that,
of the
does that
project.
153 million, that's,
It's gone. You can't reuse it.
It's just a validation. They generally round up as high as possibly can to avoid having to.
but
go
that's
back
not,
To
that's
redo
what
it.
on balance, so.
No.
No.
It just means if you want to issue for whatever was approved, you can issue.
Okay, but I still don't think it's a concern because since
No.
what, 30 years or whatever.
No, it just surprised us that you couldn't reuse the bond number.
Oh, okay.
No,
That's just.
It's a 90-day, yeah. Court
You have to spend
proceeding.
$400 billion.
There's still a whole lot. We're good.
Yeah.
Well, Jack can't do that. So.
I won't do it again. Done.
The recommendation.
So the recommendation,
Our recommendation is you approve the audit.
Motion.
Do I have a motion?
I so move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion, questions, concerns, comments? Gary, you're here. Anything you'd like to contribute, sir?
You didn't get to see the revised. until-
I'll have-
See it.
I'll have Brenda send it out to you all first thing in the morning.
Well, I can't say if everything's been included or not.
Um,
This came out at 3 o'clock this afternoon.
Yeah, to my knowledge, everything that you all made, all your comments,
We may
what's
have
the
had
word am
one
I
or
looking
two.
for? Comments and,
Updates, correct.
yeah, stuff like that. It was all done and the auditor was here and agreed with
Okay.
the stuff that you all brought up.
Okay.
But I'll make sure everyone gets a copy
Yeah, I
of it.
was concerned. I don't know if we can conditionally approve, assuming we've got here what the.
Yeah, I mean,
Revisions.
you can absolutely approve the audit based on make sure this is the right copy that has all of the audit committees.
I mean, we can always bring it
Input.
back up if something was.
We have
Oh,
to file.
Yeah, we have to
Well,
file.
The
We have
basic
time.
subject of the audit was fine. There was no.
Yeah.
problem. We
Yeah,
did-
right.
They just had ancillary input and correction, yeah, wording. That's it. It wasn't anything about the numbers or anything like that. Yeah, it was just ancillary stuff.
Gary Hudspeth audit report.
The GH.
I got a motion, a second. Any other questions, discussions?
Okay.
Sandra, anything from you, ma'am?
No questions.
All right, all's in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. 5C, donation and memorial policy. Jane, you wanna?
Yeah, this was for the benches and the possibility of trees. We compiled all the comments that we got from everybody. And the consensus is that we would just charge whatever our cost is, plus an administrative fee for handling and ordering and setting it up. Basically, what I'd like everybody to do is come up with what we think a reasonable administrative fee is, because we'll have to do a hearing to set fees. So if you want to review it again, see if you have any comments, or we can establish a fee and set a public hearing to adopt it.
What are we setting a fee for?
Because we're gonna charge,
Good process.
These are the benches we already
We're
have
gonna
out
charge-
there on Celebration.
we're gonna charge the amount of what it would cost. to
Right,
order
so
a
we have an
bench.
it's an existing bench, right?
They would have to
Existing
pay,
bench.
they would have to pay for the cost, even though it's already installed, they would have to pay
Okay.
for the cost of
Oh,
the
I thought
bench.
we were buying new ones.
No,
I
Not
know.
installing, okay,
it's just putting a plaque.
Yeah.
so they'll pay for the cost,
Mhm.
they'll
Well,
pay for the cost of the plaque. If they wanna buy a new bench to add
It's-
somewhere, they'll pay the full
It's
cost.
the cost
a
of
new
the bench.
Well,
Cost of the
okay,
plaque and the cost.
My-
of the-
My understanding intent was they would actually offset the, even if it was installed, they would pay for what we had paid for the cost of the bench.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's
the last discussion.
yeah,
That's in here.
That's good
in here.
discussion.
It's-
Well, I
it's in
had it
there.
that It was purchasing a new bench. I didn't know we were doing.
It said
that.
if a pre-installed
otherwise
bench is
we'll
slap
have
on the original
benches
purchase
all over
price.
No, it was the benches we have. If someone wanted to put a memorial plaque on it, then they would have to pay for the plaque and then I thought a percentage of the bench.
We have the cost of the bench.
Oh,
The way we did it was the
100%.
cost of the
Okay.
Initial
bench.
purchase price.
So-
Okay,
And the reason,
There you go.
and the reason I'm saying that in part is because that was for the 2 or 3 that we had done.
Mhm.
We charged the cost of the bench, so I think it's just fair, even if we've already installed them. We're gonna do the plaque. My opinion was do the cost of the bench plus the cost of the plaque, plus if there's some consideration of
Of
staff's
installing it
time.
and putting it in
Well,
order.
Dave, not to get bogged down in the weeds, I don't think anybody's gonna ask for an old bench to put a plaque on. They're gonna look for a new bench.
no, I know somebody that
Well-
wants to put a bike on a particular bench. It's-
Actually, one of the benches was an old bench. We brought it back in here and it looks like brand new bench now.
Well, and I think if the public knows, if we were to publish this and say, and really my intent with this was a cost offset. If people want to go and do this, that we can offset the $100,000 we just spent on benches. We get 50 people to come up and say, hey, I want to put a plaque on there. We just save ourselves $100,000 out of district funds because people want to turn them into memorial benches.
Okay, so we're gonna clarify, if you buy an existing bench, we're gonna clean it up and put a plaque on it.
Well,
I just wanna
we
make
got
sure we-
Some of the benches just got installed.
Yeah, we got like 40 benches that are brand new
Okay,
and we got probably 40 benches that are fixing to get rehab.
like
Either
brand.
one they choose,
they'll
whatever
pay
the
the full
price
cost,
is,
okay,
that's what it is. I don't know about.
Okay, yeah, that's equitable. I
Okay.
got it.
Okay,
okay, and what, do we wanna set a cost for what time Russ
Sit
is?
down
doing
on fee for any sort of application. Is that what you're getting at?
How much staff time would it take in order to
So, yeah,
order,
the
install,
plaque, Install the plaque.
2 hours, 3 hours a day?
$100.
To install a plaque,
no, to
Not
order
order
a
it.
bench and
we're not, I thought.
Well, we're just ordering a
buying
plaque.
any-
Sort of
yeah,
the
just a
plaque,
plaque.
it's Disney
It's,
benches.
it's ordering a plaque and installing
And
a
I
plaque.
think those should all come from the same place that Debbie McDonald got.
okay, how much is your time? 5 minutes?
10 minutes to
Okay.
put 2 screws in.
Okay. Then
There's
you want
right
to
on-
not set it?
right order.
Say $100.
Okay, everybody good with that? I'll clean this up next month and
All right.
do a resolution.
So the
to
total cost
adopt
will be
it.
$100 plus the plaque, plus the bench.
Yeah,
Correct.
plus actual cost.
And this is the same, because we covered in here as well for trees as well, because there was a discussion of tree policy because we have a memorial tree.
Which we're having a problem with right now.
The way they planted those.
Finding places to put trees.
So
Do we want to rid of three of them?
no, so we don't, no, so
Be
here's,
careful how you word that.
no, yeah, so.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Don't
what
give
would
Jack Potter, because he'll go on today.
I want a discount on this plaque for me.
So, which are you double? Given your statute. So the question I had for the trees, if you look around, is, you know, a lot of the trees are where they're supposed to be. There's some trees that are not where they're supposed to be, right? Where they're like too near the sidewalk, whatever, or maybe not in front of somebody's home, but whatever it should be. Why can't we be planting trees nearby and taking down some of those trees or where? I guess my point is, if we're putting, you know, if they're selecting trees where it should go, we're putting trees everywhere and it's like, it's gonna be too much.
Can I?
At one point, there's a
To
limit.
start with, I'm only gonna let the garden club do 5 or 6 a year. And we had a hard time finding 6 locations this time.
Tom, why don't we restrict it to this master plan when we start having to do landscaping and put trees and stuff in? That's where you put those trees.
On the trees, I would prefer that we just keep it to existing trees. If we want to go off and plant trees because we need to plant trees, let's just do that. But for the purposes of the memorial, because I think it'll simplify as well, because I don't have to worry about working with the garden club or anything else. If somebody wants to put a plaque at a tree, pick a tree. We got 10,000 of them in town, which one? do
But
you
I think the
want?
garden club wants to plant new trees.
Yeah.
And if they want to do that, we can do
They-
that
they
separate
planted-
from Memorial Day. or Memorial
Yeah.
3 already.
policy.
Friday or Monday, someone's already snapped one of them.
You're kidding.
No,
Well, they don't put any anchors in them.
Huh?
There's no anchors on them.
You can tell us from somebody, it could have been a kid, I don't.
I know, but there's no anchors when they.
But
plant these
anyway,
trees.
The trees that they get aren't very big, so if we were doing replacements for CBD
It
trees,
wouldn't be big
it
enough.
wouldn't fly.
So
I
I like
would-
Greg's idea that we'll leave the garden club
Right,
out
for
of it.
existing
After,
trees.
after they've got trees that are mature, you can pick one of those, but
Yeah.
for now, you just pick a tree.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm not following this tree thing at all.
If somebody wants to do a memorial tree,
Oh, yes.
they would not bring in a new tree. They would simply, like a bench, hey, pick an existing tree. You can put a plaque on a tree if you'd like to do that. If we want to plant trees and work with the garden club, we can work with the garden club and plant trees anywhere we want anytime we want. But I
Are
would
we good?
decouple that from that.
Should we not?
Somebody had suggested a plaque on a tree or a ground-based memorial plaque.
Yeah,
is
that's.
that okay with both?
So I'll tell you where I was coming from. is
Yeah.
But, if you just go to Washington DC, they've got, memorial or dedicated trees all around town.
Mhm.
And, but it's like a ceremonial thing. You don't pick a tree that's already there. You plant a tree and you put the plaque right next to it
On the ground
in the ground.
with a light.
Why don't we skip trees? Just do
So
benches.
I don't know.
I mean, it does get awkward when you're,
You know,
The whole
Putting
tree thing is
signs
something
on
you plant.
there's some, first off, I don't want to see it. You nailing a bronze plaque onto a tree, and that's
exactly.
mounted, that's in the.
And if you
state.
put something on the ground, is somebody gonna trip over?
Well, you did,
Sorry, that's.
So do we just want to scrap the whole tree idea and just say?
scrap the trees.
Yeah.
Well, I would, no, I want to scrap the tree plaques. I don't want to scrap trees.
Okay.
I know how you are, but.
But, okay, we're gonna keep our lovely trees, but we're not gonna put any.
Yeah, this.
I think,
Okay.
I think benches are.
Benjamin,
Benches are
fine.
good,
This
okay.
might come up later in our master plan at that point, and that there might be a area.
Yes.
During our
Okay, we'll
brainstorming that
set a
might.
fee
For a
for.
memorial like area.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
And-
they
and
have to
when
be
we
at
set the
real
fee,
size trees,
we'll
not
set
the.
it as an administrative cost for benches and any other types of memorials that are. made.
Yeah,
So
save it
we
up
don't
for
have-
that later.
We can change this without having to.
Okay,
Alright.
so that'll,
Okay, got it.
we'll set that for the next
May.
meeting then?
May meeting.
We'll bring it back, and if you have any other comments, just let me know if you want to read it again.
All right.
Um, next is your audio visual, just letting you know, I've sent this out to, it's great.
That's good timing. You're
Right.
audio visual when you start music.
Yeah,
That's.
we planned
well
that.
done.
I already have this out to 3 vendors, so we should have this up in your May meeting. I mean, it's gonna come in before that. I'll send it out to you all, bless you, prior to, so you can kind of review it, but it will be in your May agenda. They were not able to get it to me. They wanted to come out, look at the space, look at what we had, compare it to this, because this is what you want, right?
Well, I have a question.
Okay,
So on the camera, why are we at 1080p?
I don't know. I didn't do this.
This was what,
Tom Hall.
Tom Hall.
Well, that just keeps a lot of, it's a big file when you're done with it, but.
You can always go down, like if you're gonna put it online and stuff, but you can't go back up.
So
And
kinda
a
like
lot of
your
the stuff
budget.
is A lot, it's not more expensive, but I guess what I'm saying is, a lot of the stuff, like when you put it on YouTube, it's 4K.
And can you amend? I don't disagree. Can you amend the?
Yeah, I can
requirements?
do whatever you want. So you want it to be 4K camera?
And if you can just double check with Tom, just to make sure that doesn't screw up anything, the other equipment that he put in there.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Compatibility and so. forth.
One of the things, Tom was here for the GoGo meeting, and one of the things he talked about was something to do with these lights. Because if the camera's placed over there, the light, so.
I had asked him whether or not we needed to remove, because we never turned this thing on anyway. Wonder, I think his suggestion was just put something, camera kind of move it off to the side.
And he's working.
Yeah.
Right there,
There you
the
go.
lights will be in the way and you can see this.
Yeah, no, but he said if it's there, you can't see anyone who's speaking over here. That's why.
It needed to go
in.
in the middle of the room,
Yes.
and then in order for these lights, we could either take them out or you could make them flush to the ceiling.
Right.
One of the two.
Have to make sure Mark is in the shot too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was his suggestion, either remove these two lights or you could, put them flush to the ceiling. I mean,
Make them flush to the ceiling and just double panel set on
Just
the
get new
two
lights.
things. I mean,
I don't, because
they don't have any purpose.
Fixture, you can't lower it. You just need to get new lights that look like boring government lights. These, they are very government-esque.
it's very Disney-ish
Yes.
with the rest of your
That's not what you
aesthetics
don't.
everywhere.
My other question was, were
Mhm.
these gonna be turnkey installations from the vendors, or this wasn't us installing this was? the
No,
vendors
I'm
doing
getting
it?
turnkey from each vendor.
Okay.
Yeah, because we don't have, I mean, we.
Tom, and the reason I said.
could
Tom
do
had
it,
volunteered
but-
His time, that Tom could come out and do stuff, and I think having him be here to oversee.
Absolutely.
But let's have the vendor do it.
He's got a karaoke machine for
Right,
Tom.
we'll plug in anything.
What?
The karaoke machine for Tom.
Yes.
All right.
I don't need a karaoke machine. I can do it on my own.
All right, so no motion on that one for tonight.
So that'll be in your May meeting. I'll check with Tom and change it to 4K cameras.
Is that gonna change the recording unit then,
That's what.
That's what all this is, yeah.
yeah, okay.
And then, any idea on the lights here?
Well, those two?
Flush to the ceiling?
Can, or yeah, as much as possible.
I don't see why you wouldn't be able to remove that. I have to see what's on there, but I would think you could just lift it up to the
Why can't
ceiling.
you just remove the two lights altogether
Hey,
and just
hey.
put double panels, just like they did in those two
Well, I
sections?
think-
Y'all are the boss.
I think they're trying to keep the aesthetic.
Or just canopy over the thing, you don't need them, we don't turn them
Canopy
on.
over them?
Just cover it.
What do you say?
There's,
They don't do
oh, put
anything.
two speakers right there. Not like it's matching anything else.
No.
Doesn't match a
Not
thing.
anymore.
I will,
It'll open the room up.
I will
I feel
defer
better
to
than
Russ's
this room.
feng shui skills. to
I
figure out
mean,
what to do.
we could take them down in an instant,
Yeah, and
if
then
that's
just
what you
a
wanted to
white
do.
thing over it, so you don't-
Put a white cap over it.
I'll work it.
All right, so
Something simple.
Tom Tuzen
I don't think you need to try to sell.
on the lights.
Will it be bright enough in here?
We don't even use them now.
We'll have the light shut on.
Every time you touch, shine on you.
Item 7E, request for stocking bluegill in a pond with
That
celebration.
That was Russ's
What?
request. Yeah.
So,
Russ wants to finish.
so I have, what's the full request? Is like a writing or something? I mean, I just.
Yeah, what did we get?
Yeah.
There's nothing on the agenda.
What?
There's
the-
nothing-
Resident request.
Our resident requested a deep kid stock.
Bluegill fish in a pond on Celebration Boulevard. Yeah, he's asking if
He said
he-
we can
But we would charge them.
Yeah,
What?
We're not doing it.
we're not gonna pay for it.
It says resident request to.
No,
start
he
with
has,
resident will do.
I guess he wants to, he has bluegill fish he wants to put in
I
there.
don't have a problem with it myself. We
Yeah.
can put it.
Don't we need
other
to check
fish
with
in
our
the
new
pond.
vendor?
Yes.
That-
I,
Let's,
Yeah.
let's defer.
there is a way to introduce fish into a pond. You can't just throw them in, they'll all die.
That's the way God did it. Yeah, please do.
Angel can handle this. as
I make a motion, if
internal.
the vendor says it's okay, I'd love to have fish in the pond.
I mean, there's fish in the ponds already, just
Yeah.
a few more, that's all.
Okay, no, I don't have a problem. I just wanna make sure we're,
This is,
I just don't want.
what is a bluegill
It's
anyway?
got panfish, a brim, have you ever heard of brim,
Does
shell
it eat-
cracker,
does
they're
it
all the
eat-
same.
Goes well with shark.
Does it eat the other fish, or does it eat algae, or what's it do?
It eats everything.
Actually, bass will eat those.
Do we need a motion or can we just?
No,
Thank you. 7F, consideration of agreement with Vigilant Motorola for license plate reader cameras.
Oh,
And
This one's me. This is, it's taken a little bit of
This
time
one's
to
me.
negotiate with, the Vigilant and Motorola. They work together. Motorola has, as you can see, about a half inch of required, terms and conditions.
Vigilant is Motorola, they're a wholly owned
It's-
subsidiary.
yeah,
Still
they-
two companies.
They act as two different companies.
Right.
We worked for a while to get an agreement that we agreed to. There were only two things I just wanted to bring to the board's attention because it was slightly different than what was approved. If we terminate the agreement, the cost is the same cost as the prior vendor, so that was all in line with what you approved.
So per year, 24 per year.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds very professional. I'm been impressed with the folks we've dealt with. But if we do terminate, there's a fee for equipment because the equipment cost is built into the annual fee, so about 12 for a year. So if we go the whole 5 years, we'd never pay anything, but if we terminate it early, we would have to pay that
Now, the
12 for the
The
remaining
important
years.
difference
Yeah.
though is what Vigilant's proposing to us now versus what we had with Vetted, the last company. Vetted, we would go on presumably in perpetuity where it would just be a lease program and as a service. We would never own the cameras. What Vigilant's proposing is that after 5 years, we own the cameras, we don't pay.
We do? I
Just like
thought,
your cell
I
phone.
thought they were still theirs. I thought they were still theirs, but if we broke the agreement, we have to
We
pay
have to pay for the balance.
for the balance
We will confirm
remaining.
that because it
Yeah.
doesn't say that in the agreement. We can, yeah, that makes sense.
It does, but I don't think that's in the agreement.
It's not
If
in
it
the
is, I
agreement, but we'll-
missed it.
It was absolutely in the email traffic that I had when I initially got with him, so that should be in there.
Yeah, that's,
Okay,
unless I missed it, it's not in there.
okay. At the end of 5 years, we own it. Okay.
Yeah.
That's, I would agree that that makes the sense with the way they've set it up.
Yeah.
I didn't notice it in their half inch of fine print, but if it's not in there, then we will add it in. I think I'd add it in anyway, just a sentence to make it clear that we own it at the end of 5 years of our fee would go down. And the only other thing that's different from our standard is our indemnification. We usually ask for a full indemnification. Their indemnification is only for bodily injury and damage. The reason they're excluding it is because of the First Amendment type claims that people say you're watching us, and there's been a couple claims in Florida where folks have sued police departments and various cities for cameras saying they're infringing on the First Amendment rights. One case was ended and nothing happened, the other one's still pending. I think the risk is pretty low. Motorola is not gonna change their indemnification.
Okay, I'm not gonna go around that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But it's partly mitigated for us by the fact we don't access it, it's the
It would-
sheriff's department.
Exactly, it's the sheriff who has the cameras all over. But I just wanted to bring that up because it's not our typical indemnification, so I felt like.
Yeah, it looked like they had their boilerplate, you had your boilerplate, so.
And
did they
their
have
boil,
that?
no, then that's the problem, it didn't mesh, ours is anything related to this contract, you have to indemnify us. Theirs is only bodily injury or.
Is that the only thing that's?
That was the chief point.
And the buyout.
Yeah, those are the 2 points that are on our standard, just wanted to make sure the board was aware of that, because it was slightly different than our last contract, nothing that. So,
Insignificant risk.
okay, great. So with that, is there a motion to approve it and we can
Move
get
to
this all
approve it.
started?
Second.
You have a question?
It's a nebulous question, not.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Justina?
She said something.
She said I.
She said
Oh,
aye.
she said aye. Okay.
Thanks. And then the next one I will jump right into. This is the interlocal that we had with the sheriff for the agreement. And this is just amending it to show that we have a different contract. The Sheriff agreed to the terms. We'll just fill in the blanks with this new agreement and then sign it. And it has to be recorded to show that we have an agreement with another government.
So.
Your motion to approve, yep.
Approve.
Second.
Perfect.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. 7H.
Still you.
Well, there's this one where we're gonna push to David a little bit. This is with,
Damn it, I gotta wake up and listen.
you gotta wake up. This is, again, our general contract with the indemnification, the public records, all the things we normally have. And tied to it are the requirements and scope of services from Dick's Height. They were very amenable to our agreement. A couple things that just jumped out is really the scope, because we agreed to a $20,000 scope of work. And the way we set it up is we'll do work orders, but this is the scope you're gonna do, and then we get to the next stage. We'll have another scope to add to the
Yeah,
contract.
that to me is a menu. You can think about it this way. What we're agreeing to is that they got a menu of services, because there's some things like a workshop or a focus group that'll be iterative, and there'll be several of them. We won't be able to sign up for each one or authorize them to do each one at a fixed price.
Mhm.
So as long as that is how it is, and yes, we'll do it like we did last month with as a succession of work orders. Say, all right, you're gonna have $20,000 to do X, Y, and Z. And then honestly, we need their feedback to be like, all right, we're done with that. We need a new authorization to do A, B, and C. And we need
Yeah, so-
$40,000 to do that.
Exactly, so that keeps us where we're following our budget, but the contract includes their entire list of things to choose from. So this would be approving the overall contract plus the first work order, which is the $20,000, and it's the services under their contract, section 1, subsections A and C. It's billed hourly for $20,000. We just come back each time we have additional work to do.
So we're not authorizing anything more than what we already talked about last month. And now we've got a contractual structure.
And this kickoff meeting that we talked about would fit into that point.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope so.
Okay.
So I have,
Hoping they
I
both do-
have a concern.
Okay.
So the first part of it, when we went ahead and did the 20,000, right? And we did it primarily to go ahead and coincide with the fact that they would go ahead and kind of look at the survey. So we only sent one survey out to the community, right? So we approved the $20,000 and we went ahead and moved forward in good faith. We pretty much, there's a mishap. They never sent the survey over. Am I correct?
Yeah.
You guys never got the survey.
Yeah, the facts are that they have meetings every 2 weeks with the MPAG, which is the Master Planning Advisor Group from PROA. And 2 weeks ago, they said, all right, here's the draft survey. I was there, Dick's Height was there in person, and they says, all right, send this to us before it goes out so we can give you feedback. 2 weeks go by, we go to the next meeting, and they say, all right, we're sending this out in 2 days. And they had, neither I nor Dick's Height had received the draft survey so that we could opine on it. So they kind of just went on their own.
So my problem with that is because usually I think, how long does it take for them to look through the survey? A couple of weeks, right?
Well, they wanted a week to look at it.
All right, so they wanted a week and they had, well, less than 24 hours, right? So basically, and the survey is, my opinion, completely worthless. This is not like a survey you would go ahead and send out if you really wanted information. So my thing is we're gonna go ahead and space it out. I want a return on investment. This for me was not a return on investment. And it's something we did, right? We had it in good faith and we wanted to go ahead and add this, and we ended up with nothing. So I guess we gotta really think about this.
We need to establish that you take the lead on what's going on and get approved.
I agree, because I have no problem with PROA doing what they're doing, but if we're gonna partner with them, the expectation is, hey, we wanted to send out one survey.
The kickoff meeting needs to clearly define, with the broad intent that we had talked about 3 months ago, that their group was going to help form questions, evaluate questions, bring questions back. The kickoff and the pricing needs to very clearly define that Dick's Height is in charge of thought process, because what I don't want to have happen is
I agree.
what you're talking about, where all of a sudden, well, no, we want to take another month, well, no, we wanted to do this. Now all of a sudden on our dime, their group is
I
leaving the project.
I don't wanna do that again.
Right. Yeah.
So,
No,
and I just wanted to make that comment, not I'm changing
And I-
anything, but I,
No, and I think if it's brought forth in the workshop, and it should be this way, and it won't be Dick's Height, it needs to be us saying this, hey, guys, this is Dick's Height's proposal. This is what CDD, if we choose to go forth and fund this, this is what CDD is gonna execute on. To the extent that you as a board, you CROA can participate and help this along, great, we absolutely wanna have you in here. But it's gotta be in accordance with the schedules and the timelines and how they're gonna do this. Agree with that 100%.
so that was my only piece.
Well, that goes back then to my question on the Dave, so did they already expend, because I thought
Yeah, Dick's Sight's gonna bill us for the time they sat in the meetings with the master planning group and the
Okay.
time they took to review that, for that day, to review the questions. To have a comment on each question.
Okay, so well, my question is, how much did that cost so far? Well, I wanna make sure.
What was
we-
that?
I wanna make sure we're at least approving you for enough now to get us through the kickoff discussion at the workshop.
I'll ask.
Yeah, they do have that client kickoff meeting sort of ahead of all their various tasks, so it looks like that's included, but yeah, you can check on that.
Very well.
So why don't we approve this and then also authorize Dave to negotiate? Well, because we won't have a meeting before that workshop, will we?
First,
That's my concern, is we
Yeah.
need to give him a limit now that
we
not to
need to
exceed,
give
to
it,
make sure we
yeah.
have enough to get us through the.
How much you need?
Let's see.
Yeah, it's on that list. Didn't they have,
No, the kickoff meeting was in their introduction. They didn't have a cost associated with that.
I'm about to be a smart aleck, does that mean that's not really part of?
Community engagement meetings, $2,500 fee,
there you go.
time and materials.
So we might have exhausted them,
Not the 20, we haven't done $20,000.
but isn't $2,500 per meeting? That misunderstand
Had 2 meetings so far.
Yeah, they've been.
Why don't we
intended
approve
to be,
Dave,
But that's our.
Dave to approve another up to 5,000 that we could have the board ratify at the next meeting if we need to cover that.
And this is all coming out of reserves, I'm assuming? Right?
This is all
Has
for
to,
now,
yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it has to. It's not budgeted.
And so, I mean, the other thing that they're doing concurrently is the upfront research on existing facilities and some of the other comparables and how we stack up that. So that was 25, and we're looking at 2, so that's like $7,500.
But we don't know what other work they're doing behind the scenes too.
No, that's what the 20,000.
Yeah. So I think another 5 would at least cover that meeting until our next board meeting.
Yep, that's a nominal amount.
So to increase from 20 to 25,000.
Well, why don't we approve this as 20 and then give the authorization for another up to 5 if we need.
Well, that's what
more.
I'm saying,
Yeah.
don't spend 25, but up to 25, just up to 25,000
Well, I'd
to
like
get us through the
Yeah, but
workshop.
we need, let's approve the contract and the first work order.
Okay.
And then on top of that, approve up to another 5,000 for the
Yeah.
next work order if we need to.
For the next radical meeting.
So when we talk about the next workshop, which workshop are you talking?
The 21st.
The joint meeting.
Yeah, it's not a budget workshop.
So Jan, this is an actual contract to hire Dick's Height to start work.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
it's an actual contract and I did it by work order, so we would approve each task at a dollar amount, so they're not to
Mhm.
exceed 1,000 for the first couple tasks.
I moved to approve the contract.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
I oppose.
Okay,
Okay, and then you want a motion to authorize another up to 5,000 if needed for the next meeting, before the next meeting.
that motion.
Yeah, I'll second yours.
Oh,
So not to exceed 5,000,
$1,000 to
Dave.
if needed to cover the joint meeting.
So can I just ask a question?
I have a question too.
Okay,
You go first.
I'm just asking a question. So what exactly is Dick's Height doing right now
They
that we're
are-
hiring them to do? Like what, I saw the scope and what they're doing, but what are they doing? Like legit, what are they doing?
They attend the meetings for master plan group.
Okay,
They also spent time to review the survey that went out from the master plan group and give feedback.
okay,
And then they're doing the research, some preliminary research on.
Yeah,
Okay.
prior work by Osceola County Park and Recreation standards, and they list a couple of different standards.
are they
that
finding
yeah.
land?
No.
No, that's not a part of, this is the research, based data and review of the planning documents
Got
that are
it.
out there.
Okay.
in Comparable community.
And just so you know.
Just wanted to make sure.
specific with this and with them is that they're not to engage in a design
Mhm.
of functions, because that is, we need to set the conditions first to include what parcels are available where they go into any sort of
Right.
design function.
And we don't have that information yet.
Yeah, so they can't do design until they know what their palette is at the work.
Right, and we don't have that yet, right? Okay,
And I would not have them engaged in any other activities with the master planning group until we can get through the joint workshop with Pro and figure out between two boards how we want to do this. I don't want them going to any more master planning group meetings, because if they're going to the meetings and spending $2,500 a meeting, and we haven't agreed as boards as to what they're doing, and we had surveys that just.
I 100% agree with that. I don't think they should attend any more master plan meetings because I think we need to
So
understand.
have them focus on their contract and research fees first. When they come in and do the kickoff meeting, there's nothing that they're gonna attend.
Yeah.
Every day is just gonna be meaningful from the master planning group.
Master plan group meets every other week.
holy
So,
moly, but they
yeah.
can't have a report done until August?
I don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, what the risk is that the master plan group will start going off in a tangent and.
They're already doing that anyway.
Right, Dick Site won't be there to reel them in, but
We weren't able to do that anyway.
honestly, I'm fine with that because I can be there on their behalf.
You don't charge us $2,500 a week.
Can I?
He charges $5,000 a meeting.
I think it's good if you keep pulse on that on behalf of the board. I'll do that, but
Yeah.
if we're not having influence or anything until the board, till their board directs.
Yeah, I mean, it was good for them to at least meet everybody. They were there in person for the first one and then on lines, maybe we got charged less.
Primarily because I don't have access to our printer.
Okay. All right, so
Overnight them to you.
Jen made the motion.
No, I can,
Yeah, I believe Jack made the motion. We need to.
I did.
Jack seconded.
I seconded her motion.
Oh, okay.
That was-
Yeah.
Which was.
I
First.
Jack made a motion.
I second,
Okay, so that's
$5,000.
5,000 additional, more Crow meetings until at least our workshop, and what else did you just say?
that's it.
That was it.
Nope. that's
Okay.
good.
Well, and we also said that we're not.
No more meetings.
And more synthetic meetings.
Yeah.
This is no more Crow meetings.
No more-
Yeah.
Yeah,
Email the
Yeah,
final
okay.
copy.
all right, I got a motion and a
You
second.
can run and
All, any questions?
that way you can take the original.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
I oppose.
All right. And
No, I usually do, but I
Yeah.
couldn't, but if we email it to Red, he can run and print it quick.
2024 general election. Needles are yours.
Yeah, that's your standard, sorry,
Reminder that the election.
the election's coming up this year. It tells you, also, whoops. I guess I could find the agenda. It also tells you what seats are up, which I'm sure all of you.
1, 3, and 5.
Yep. So to let you know, obviously, it doesn't say it in here, but June is the qualifying period if you want to requalify or to run for the board, but those are the seats that are up, and that's basically what this resolution is telling you.
We get a resolution telling us that?
Yeah, we have to
Mhm.
announce
It's-
it
yeah.
at least a certain time period before the election. is.
Correct.
Okay.
So it's
Those are-
every election year you get to see this nifty little resolution.
Does everybody know which seats they are?
Yeah.
They're all Jack, all three.
Yeah.
Everybody does know? Okay.
I
Mhm.
move,
Resolution check is.
I'm not 1, 3, or 5, that's what I know.
yeah, I move
Okay.
to approve resolution 2024.
I second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any
Okay.
opposed?
And can you change the date on it? Cause it's.
Yeah.
got a different date. Thank you.
All right, Jay, we already did 7K. Spring Park fence.
This is the gentleman who had his house burglarized a few times. It's the path behind it that is open. The fence that's currently there only goes so far. He is asking, I believe, for the district to extend that fence
Can I ask you a quick
to
question?
close it
I
off.
think it's any different than what he asked last month?
No,
Oh.
it is not.
Would we give him an easement to build
Well,
a fence?
wait a minute, weren't
His own?
we talking about cement work and all that other stuff?
Yes, that was part of your budget meeting where you wanted to add a sidewalk where the path is. That's right at his house, which his argument is, you know, if y'all are gonna do something there, you're gonna bring more traffic to my house. That path already exists. It always has existed.
It's gonna probably bifold.
Again, I'm just saying it's always been a path and it very well could bring more traffic to their house. So that's the request, is to, my knowledge is the district to extend the fence. I don't know that we've asked. I personally have not asked if the district allowed him to put up a fence. Are you this individual?
No, I live next door to him.
Oh, okay.
So, hi, my name is Jill Furlong. I live at 907 Spring Park Loop, and our house is where the fence ends. And it ends because 24 years ago, when my husband built our house, they were using there was a cut through from the woods to Celebration Boulevard through our yard. So he fought with the CCDD at the time to get them to put the fence up, and it literally ends at our property. That was long before Spring Lake was built. And of course, now that Spring Lake is built, we actually have seen an increase of people cutting through. So the sidewalk on the path behind our house, behind our fence, through the, the little preserve area, that actually bends up toward the pond behind our house. But people don't want to walk that, so they have made a cut through through the woods from, that path over to Spring Lake. Not only that, but we've seen CCD and CROA, or whoever it is that drives back there to do the maintenance, has used that regularly as a path. So because of all of that, they've been broken into multiple times now. The most recent was literally 2 or 3 weeks ago. They're part-year residents. They're not here all the time, but the neighbors on either side of them, try to keep a close lookout. And so we think that, it's an easy target because they can literally come through the woods. It's not maybe 20 feet of space between the woods into their fenced yard, bust through the house and take whatever. So I just thought I would come and speak on their behalf.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I do appreciate it.
You're welcome. And that's kind of the history, like why the fence ends right literally at our house and their property line. So it was put up 20 some years ago by CCDD, but at the time there was no housing behind them.
Are they allowed to put fences on their own property?
A lot of the residents have ornamental fences on their property.
I mean, it's on the back of the property,
Yeah,
so there should be a big CROA issue.
Is that from the developer or are they putting them in themselves?
So there's a fence in the easement that CCDD put up in our easement that ends at our property. The resident next door, our yard isn't fenced. The resident next door has like a little ornamental decorative metal fence around their backyard property.
Yeah.
And then there's probably 10 feet, maybe 15 feet from the end of their fence where their property ends to the woods grass area. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So Angel, so the request you got this time around was different. So last month it was for us to extend. They're now asking if they can extend.
No,
this.
no, it's the same request. I have not, and that's what I was asking Russ. I personally have not gotten a request from him to allow the district to allow him to put up a fence. The question is if we will continue extending that fence where she's telling you stop, continue it past, because he believes that's gonna keep traffic from
210 feet.
entering his house, yeah.
We need 210 feet of fence is what you're saying?
Mm-hmm. And it would tie into where that,
It's not gonna tie in. It's
no,
just
but it
gonna
would
be
go
the
to
end of
that,
property.
that's right. It's,
Be pretty
So-
thick there where you'd have to
But
walk
chain
through
link, you're talking chain link.
6 foot, green chain link fence.
Yeah, so that
Yep, that's what's there now.
continues the existing.
and it's not gonna tie into anything though, so,
You could still. go-
Well, it would tie into the existing fence and then dead end.
no, yeah, and his
other-
property.
The end of their property.
but people could still,
Just walk
But
right
they're gonna have to walk through,
yeah.
Pretty thick.
yeah, probably
It-
8 times more brush than what they do right now.
Yeah,
So,
If I could add one more thing, in reality, it affects about 5 other houses. Like from their house to the 5 other houses on that little section before there's actual like pond. So it really should be extended from our house to cover all of those other houses. Because as you say, people can just go up and around the next house. But
210.
no,
Yeah, but in
that's
that case, I
longer.
mean, there's so many houses out here that butt up to woods and stuff. Where do we stop?
Yeah, where, that's the. You're gonna be
I-
being asked to put up fences all over.
I almost need to. I feel like I need to go out there and look what we're talking about. And see what the traffic is, because you know, I don't have a problem extending the fence. Problem I have is, then where do you stop?
Right,
And then the other problem is, and this is unique, because there wasn't supposed to be the housing development there is, and nothing else was taken into consideration.
right.
There's that, but then I don't wanna be putting fences behind everyone's houses either, so, right, cause you ask for
What happens when I
one.
get one of the other 4 neighbors says, my God, why'd you just put a fence up on it?
Well, and then it just never ends, you know, and then that thing, and then the other thing is that cut through. Do we fence that in? I don't know, I don't know what the answer is, and so that's, a lot of questions here. There's a lot of questions, there's a lot of impact.
What would it take just to shrub over the cut through? If you're saying the rest of it's really thick.
Yeah, on one hand, we don't want the precedent of fencing in people's yards.
I agree, because I mean, I can think of 5 other conversations, 10 other conversations since I've been on the board of concerns about security stuff. And
Yeah, we'd be fencing the whole.
where does our responsibility end for?
But the other side of this coin is that the CDD in a one-off sort of condition decided to fence this area, which at the time met the intent. And then once more development happened,
It
it
did.
no longer meets.
But was it the CDD or was it the builder or the developer who did
This is
it?
the first I heard this.
Pretty much.
I can tell you, as the homeowner, it was the CDD that put it in.
Sounds perfectly like something the CDD would probably look at and say, okay, this was for the fence.
That's why I guess I wanna see what we're talking about. Well, there's a couple fences in some areas, but I just need to see it like in person. So I just need to go out there.
Got a motion from anybody?
Can we table it until next month so we can look at it?
Motion we can.
So move to table is still.
Got a motion, got a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
All right.
Thank you for letting me talk.
No, thanks for that background information. That was great.
Appreciate you staying on.
No problem. It's been a long night.
7L, discussion of events on Esplanade. Yeah, this is yours.
No,
No,
it was Tom's.
Tom's got an event.
Well, I think it was just in general talking about events that happen on the Esplanade.
Well, so
What are we gonna,
No, there was a specific task, and I realize Jen hasn't gotten to it yet, to come up and look at the usage policy, and this came out of the Lexington,
Oh.
the.
Yes, I had
conversation.
sent it.
oh,
to
I'm thinking of
everybody
something different
To see
then,
if
sorry.
folks wanted to look at the policy that had been put into place a couple boards
I have.
prior.
So,
Okay.
Okay.
I think we should table
So I
it.
got a question real quick. Remember you asked me the other day, why don't you come to the car event show? And the reason why I don't is it's traffic and all that. They're parking cars on the exit.
They always have.
Yeah.
I was not aware of that till some of my guys showed me pictures and I'm like, what the?
I thought one year they got 3 if it didn't park on Esplanade.
thought that was part of the application process that they were telling us.
I
they were
just-
putting cars on this one.
What, I don't know, that's all.
Okay, so they've always parked it on the Esplanade
Yes.
and next to the hotel on the cement area. So if you know, if there's damage, whatever, is that part of the application? Are we reviewing it beforehand, taking pictures beforehand? I don't know. I don't know what that is.
Well, I mean, I think that's generally in our application process, if you damage any district property,
But how do we know if there's cracks that happen afterwards, we didn't take pictures before?
we need to go out beforehand and make
Right,
sure.
so I'm just wondering, I don't know what that is, but they always park.
Yeah, that wasn't where, I just brought it up. to take care.
Okay, so the discussion item here was, so you've already sent something out, Jan?
I sent everybody a copy of the policy that was in place.
Existing policy.
Yes, because
Okay.
folks did not know it existed and wanted to look at it.
Okay.
So I will send it again and remind everybody to take a look at it, and
Take a
see if
look
it's something you want to amend, adopt, change.
So this came up, I think, from a couple different conversations. One was specifically with what we get approved for Flexen was, did we want to relook at the policy of what are the times and conditions? Do we want to set it in the policy? Profits versus nonprofits, certain type of activities prohibited, things like that, that may not already be in the policy. Well, it was,
Yeah, the guitar.
it was,
thing came up,
it was multiple
yes.
events that are leading to that question, to put it that way. There have been a few things. Mike Nunez brought up that he was upset that Girl Scouts were selling cookies out there, but you couldn't have music out there. So it was, when and where do we want to allow folks, or the folks that go down on a Sunday afternoon? Religious, whatever. We want to relook our policy to figure out how we want to try to restrict that. And then clearly from a staff perspective, how do we actually enforce some of that? Because a
This is
lot of
gonna
that
happen.
happens on the weekend.
That's what I'm gonna say, it's gonna be on.
Yeah.
Um,
So my suggestion then would be, let's have everybody look at the policy, provide some comments and thoughts. Let's bring it back at the next meeting and then figure out
Yes,
whether
I
there's
agree.
certain amendments we want to put in that. Okay. 7M, revision to landscaping services and certain easement verge areas. I will take this one. We had some spirited email conversations over about the leaves that were stacking up in the roadway next to Sienna Apartments as soon as you come down Waterside Drive. Some back and forth on the email threads as to who put them there. Their management at Sienna complained that CDD landscapers were pushing leaves into the flower beds there because we are maintaining that verge area. Even though it's in their deed that they were supposed to be doing it, we've been maintaining it because we have irrigation pipes under there. And it got into a back and forth as to, well, you pushed the leaves over there, so therefore I pushed them back on your verge. We'll let it happen to spill out in the street. And we started getting resident complaints that there were 6-inch thick leaf piles and snakes popping up and ants and all sorts of stuff. So at the end of it, Brett and his crew, because they did say that they were driving over with a mower and it happened to be blowing, they weren't intending to. They went out and just went ahead and cleaned the stuff up. The county a week and a half later came up and cleaned up what was already clean.
now it's really clean.
Now it's super clean. So that part notwithstanding, part of the issue of what drove us to be here and the problem to begin with is I don't think we should be maintaining those verge areas. It is in the deed for Sienna, just like it's in the deed for every other private owner anywhere in the community, that they need to be maintaining the grasses and everything else. We just happen to have been cutting those. So I asked Russ to pull a list of everywhere that we're doing that, and it's Sienna,
Waterley Church, Waterside condominiums, West Park Drive condominiums. And used to be church downtown,
Compress.
but they seem to be doing their own work right now.
I know a year or two ago, we had been doing those, we
Yeah.
got some complaints, but I think they took it over. Because they were asking about why is the big red fan blowing stuff in. So my recommendation is going to be, we have staff put out a notice to any of those property owners where we have been doing lawn maintenance, that within a reasonable amount of time, I would say certainly no more than 60 days, we will be ceasing our landscaping there, and it's gonna be up to them as private property owners to maintain that. And we can certainly give them back to the deed documents. I did research through the deeds, I dug through a lot. And it ties back to both the deeds as well as the Croat charter. The deed says it will be what whatever is imposed by the association will then be the responsibility. So it really comes out of the charter that they need to make those areas.
I have a question. The sprinkler systems around there, those tie into, let's say like the Sienna ones, those tie into Sienna?
CEDs. And I think what happened, I was obviously here at the time, for all the meetings and stuff. Is a lot of areas, especially like downtown, Waterside and all that, they wanted the place to look beautiful, even though buildings weren't up yet. So we went.
That's what I think
sidewalk and
happened,
curb
right.
and-
In front of the
And
Catholic
it's
church,
got irrigation.
in front of the
stuff.
Catholic church, when it was just a field, they wanted it green, so they did that. So my question is, don't disagree with anything, I agree with this. How do we separate?
We'll still maintain the irrigation, I don't wanna touch it. There's no way to separate.
Okay, so no, I think that's a question, because,
If they run over the irrigation heads.
well, no, but they have to maintain it. Right, so the fertilizing and all
That's
this
the
stuff.
different thing. I mean, there are other areas where CDD, as I understand it, Russ, CDD's got irrigation that if,
So why do we have irrigation?
You just said it.
Yeah, but why do we need to continue to have irrigation?
Right, well, that's
We can't separate it
I
off.
think it's a little bit too late now to ask someone to come in here and pipe all that stuff, rewire. A good example that we irrigate, but they mow right now is Water Street condos, all those buildings.
what,
Makes sense.
as a total swag, what would it cost to repipe,
We
redo?
couldn't even, I don't even know how you would do it in my mind, to be honest. If we had $1 million, I don't know how you
I'd start $1 million.
get away with doing it.
Okay.
Splitting it up and all that.
Because it's already in place.
Everything's already tied together.
Okay.
Well, and there's no secret about how much we
Lucky
pay for
them, but-
irrigation water anyway, so I think we're okay.
You know, I think my sprinkler
Oh, yeah.
system is
Lots
also,
of dirty.
Yeah.
Yes.
it was worth a shot.
Can I tie mine?
All right, so I would make, that would be my motion then, is for any of the properties that Russ discovers, or staff discovers now, or if there's anything else that happens to pop up, that we would give. Like I said, I would think 60 days is more than enough time for a board, or whoever the property owner is, to get with their.
I'm pretty sure in 6 days or 5 days, you're gonna get a letter.
I would imagine if it
That's
goes
okay.
out tomorrow, you'll get one from
Yeah, well,
a certain person tomorrow.
Are you writing this? Or do you want me to write it?
I think you go ahead and write it, and then if they,
Yeah.
if they get nasty, then I can.
Okay,
get
there's
it.
only like 6 areas I thought we talked about.
6, maybe it's 5.
5, yeah.
I mean, it's not much property. I mean, they're looking at,
So,
they're spending another 10 minutes to do the stuff they haven't been doing.
and it's just an example of why we can't have nice things, is if everybody was nice, we wouldn't have the situation, we just want it our way, but
Okay,
here we go.
Russ, give me the exact locations and I'll get a letter out.
And I'll forward you, Angel, I think some of the backup, just of, hey, what documents.
PCNRs and stuff.
Exactly, and I can include you on there just to make sure it's worded.
And I'll include the docs with the letter.
Yeah.
Are y'all voting?
That would be my suggestion. Everybody wants to,
oh, well.
I'll make it as a motion.
Vote for you to send a letter that they're not getting.
That they need to start maintaining that verge.
Yes.
We still do the irrigation, but they need to maintain the maintenance of it.
So,
Hold on a second,
Second.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Very well, closed session. What do you need to do here, James? Or Angel?
We need to have
Close the
members of
door.
the, members of the public,
Vacate.
yeah. take
Put them in the
break.
waiting room.
Yeah, but we have to keep the.
So Charles,
take-
I'm gonna put you in the waiting room.
You want
I wound up
board
with
members?
public comment, so I'll come back.
Okay.
Jan?
So Charles is in the waiting room. I'm in celebration and now it's just Cassandra.
I've been on.
I guess I have to stop. I need to stop recording this.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah, but you'll have to take handwritten minutes, because we need to have the minutes available. I mean, you can continue as long as you don't give it to anybody.
We'll talk slow.
Oh, but aren't you gonna post the?
If we can post it.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah,
post
so
it,
you're
you
gonna
have
have
to turn it
We
on.
can stop it.
Yeah.
fair enough.
All right, so I'm. All right, so
Gary back in.
a motion as recommended.
So who made the motion?
I made the motion to investigate,
To investigate.
to investigate and
cameras,
price out cameras.
Security.
Security.
I'll second.
Investigate and gather proposals
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hold on, so that was Tom, Jack.
Yep.
And then all in favor. Okay.
Very well.
Just a question. Greg, can you send me the email from the sheriff's department about the scooters and so I can forward out to the board?
You were coming.
Okay.
That was from Captain Cal.
Calvis?
Yeah, that was what came in like 2 hours before me.
Oh,
He
I
buried it in
didn't-
there and said,
oh, it was like at the bottom then?
no, his,
Or-
his note that he sent,
Calvis. That's fine. I can find it. I just didn't think the scooters was part of that. It was very long.
yeah, he's, his first paragraph there, after the meeting, I spoke to our legal Alexander Clark.
Kevin.
advised me to review
Okay.
the meeting call.
Got it.
I sent that over to Jan as well.
All right.
All right, regular reports, district manager.
Couple of things. We're gathering all the numbers for the budget. I'll be updating that and sending a new one out to you all prior to our next budget workshop, which is scheduled for May 14th at 6 p.m. So we're doing all that. I already told you we have proposals coming for the new sound thing in here. We're gathering some pond numbers, all of that stuff to fill in the budget based off of what we talked about at your budget workshop.
Can I ask, please, can we get those at least 3 days before the workshops, so we have time to digest them?
You should have them before. Your workshop's May 14th. This is the 23rd. We already have a lot of the numbers. We should have all of them before that.
Just now that we're actually starting
Yeah.
to get real numbers. in
No,
there,
absolutely.
time to digest them.
Mhm. Yep. Absolutely. So other than that, I've let Mr. Bumpus know to stop on the upstairs. He'll sent us his final bill on that.
How's the roof doing? How's the roof doing?
Arnco, they reached out and they were like, well,
Yeah,
we didn't know it was leaking, and I have record of us calling, left messages, and I guess this.
Yeah, their insurer follows up every once in a while, so
Mhm.
when I respond back that no, we still have problems, they wake up.
Yeah, so they're coming back out to look and see about the dam or the roof leaks, if there are any, fix them or whatever they're gonna do.
They had a guy out Friday who didn't even know why he was out there. You know,
See,
It's their roof.
this is,
And you
it's their
can't blame
roofing.
him. It was whoever sent him out.
it's every single time.
It's their roofing
Still-
subcontractor.
we're still leaking.
Oh,
What
yeah.
happened to the engineer?
We don't know. I mean, he had a stop gun, so.
Well, it was leaking prior. The last heavy rain you all got here, they sent me videos because I was not here. They sent me videos. And there were leaking
so
with
we-
garbage cans.
But what happened to the engineer?
Yes.
When
The
is he coming?
engineer,
We've got a contract now, don't we?
no, remember, we're waiting, his legal's reviewing it.
Oh, that's right, he had a question. and they're still
Yeah,
reviewing.
you went back with that.
Yeah.
As soon as that, he already has it, they already have like a schedule planned out. We're just ironing out the contract to be able to get you to sign and them to sign.
Can
But
we
they,
say it now? So we-
they already have us on their schedule. He has a scope of work, what they're going to do, and then provide a report to the board. And they're doing a whole assessment of the roof.
Well, that's why I'm surprised we're even getting anything, because I didn't think we were really telling Arnco anything until we got the report back.
It was their insurer that,
It's the insurance.
Just
They want to
follow it.
close it out
yeah, the insurer.
because
wants
we
to
have a
close it.
claim
And we keep saying
The
no.
roof,
and it keeps leaking. I mean, yeah.
I think it.
So-
The engineering report, I can't.
Yeah.
imagine not getting you back.
So the engineer comes out when, next month?
As soon as we.
As
can-
soon as we
they
can
look at it,
get
they've
the
got
signed contract, he's already scheduling it in the background and like putting everything together.
Is there an issue on the contract that you need to get permission from us now?
We
No,
just,
they've had
Okay.
it for like 2 weeks.
well,
We had
there
one
was, the
question.
only issue was the one question and we got clarity, which was the coverage.
Mhm.
Because we really, it's okay what he wants. He only wants to cover up to what, 50,000?
Yeah, I think it was a limitation in damages.
Right, which that isn't typical.
He's not doing destructive testing.
But he's
No,
not
no,
doing anything crazy that would require us to have him do more. So we figure that out and now we're just waiting for them to sign it and send it back. But
I'll follow up with them tomorrow and see if they've got any more
Yeah.
problems or why.
The scope is he's gonna come, they do a whole initial inspection of the roof. Number one, for design, to see if it's a design flaw. Number two, to look at all the repairs that have been made to see if those were made properly. So there's like 2 or 3 fold to it that'll be incorporated into this report that you get.
Okay.
So that's it. But in the meantime, Arnco,
Sent their roofer again.
yeah, and they keep sending them, but they never know why they're here. They never know what to fix, and they don't fix it the right way every time.
Well, at least they're punctual.
I mean, you know,
I hate to say, do we even wanna let them up on the roof, right? I mean, if, I don't wanna obstruct a guy from fixing something, but if we're getting an engineer out here to professionally assess what it is that's wrong. And Arnco has been up there, well, how many times?
Oh,
5, 6 times?
At least 5 or 6.
yeah, way more than that. But I don't think
Right.
we can stop Arnco at this point.
No, we've made a claim and they've
Yeah.
made an insurance claim, so I mean, they.
Okay,
Now, after we get the report, I think that's a different story,
right.
you know.
Okay.
But in the meantime, yeah, I don't think we can stop them from coming out
No.
and looking at everything. So those are the 2 major things. All the scanning has been done, the blotter or the whatever, I don't know the name of it. You got me on blotter now for like forever,
Big
Tom,
house.
the blotter.
Ask
The
one
big,
question.
the big maps are, they're coming down to do those. That's in a week and a half. Those will be complete. It's only gonna take a couple hours apparently with this machine to get them all in. And then, do you want to store those, the hard ones, or do you want to do away with them?
Do we need to store them?
We're digitizing them. Some of them could fall apart, some of them aren't. I just don't know if you wanna
Is it
keep
like a
the
nice
hard.
fancy map that you can?
It'd be nice to have one, just a frame that is old.
We have some
Yeah.
up there that could be framed.
Of the property?
Yeah,
Or maybe the original celebration.
we'll look and see. Before anything goes in the trash, we'll let you all look at it and see.
You know, I've used old maps, and this goes back today, for when you have like a plaque made, you
Mhm.
do the back, but an old map.
Yeah.
You do the backing of your plaque.
You're trying to do a plaque for his statue?
Yeah, you wrap a statue in it. too.
I'll just go to Publix and buy the shirt.
So before we toss anything, we'll look through it. The other thing is I want to make sure I'm clear, and I think I am, but I want to get board consensus. I did talk to Greg about this.
Your truck?
Yeah, well, that's separate. So
Okay.
the one thing I'm talking about digitization, you all wanted a platform you could go on and just be able to look at all of Celebration's documents, whatever you wanted. Yeah, we can do SharePoint, not a problem, if that's what everybody prefers. But my question is, do you want everything from inception on there? Because that's gonna take a while, because we have to pull it from our server and put it there. Or do you want minutes, current contracts, all of your resolutions, stuff like that?
That's play the what if game. What if you guys went belly up tomorrow?
We have to turn all of your records over to,
But if you went
Your
belly up
new
tomorrow and you're not here. Like, right, it's like, oh,
Well, all.
yeah, but we
all the
have
stuff's gonna be
to,
stored. She's asking what
Yeah.
you wanted, but everything
That
will
we
be
can
pulled into
access.
SharePoint.
Yeah.
That if we wanted to go in there as board
if,
members. to
if
public
we went
records,
belly up tomorrow, you're still gonna have your records, because then we would have to, even if
Yeah.
you didn't have a management, whatever, we have to turn them over to
Yeah.
to your
under state
legal
law, we
counsel.
have to go
This is
find-
more, if they
Yeah.
were-
Yeah, usually it's resolutions, minutes, stuff, so we don't have to bug them every time we want to see
that's fine.
Well,
contracts.
there's, the intent was, what my intent was, there would be like a supervisor's SharePoint site where, hey, we could get into anything if we wanted to, but this would be our current contracts, resolutions, policies, blah, 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 like, so that we could go down there and pull that stuff down. I don't know that I care about designing things.
That's what I wanna do, because I mean, if we're going back to inception, you're talking about
Ton-
30
yeah.
years of records that, I mean, that
Yeah,
really.
Design and construction. stuff.
That's
If-
good reading.
Yeah, if you needed that to go to sleep at night, you could call me and I could totally send it to you. But I think to put it on this SharePoint, I don't necessarily know that that's something that you need. But if that's what you want,
Gary needs it.
Gary needs it.
Well, but
You'll read anything.
you are gonna store, where are you gonna store all the stuff that's not?
On our server where it is now.
Okay.
They're not gonna give you all access to our server, right? Because they just
No,
can't.
no, and
No, but but in SharePoint, you can give access to particular folders for particular users.
Correct, but that's what I'm saying. I have to set up those folders of what you all want to see.
Right.
So do I drag everything over from inception and put it in, here's all your agreements going back to 1900 up to now, or, you know what I mean? Or do you just want your current agreements, all of your minutes, your resolutions? I think it's important that you
Current things, the only thing we need.
look at resolutions,
Well,
because,
here's
you know,
my question is,
yeah,
well, I'm gonna get into some IT whiz bangery here. How do you guys back up your server?
you're talking to the wrong person.
Well, that's
I'm not an
fine.
IT person.
I know if we put it in SharePoint, it's in the cloud and
Mhm.
from a consistency.
And we use
perspective, we'll
SharePoint,
always be there.
just so you know,
Right.
that's the forum we use, but we have
It's what you're
multiple.
saying, You're putting it on your server. When that server fails, then I don't know what you're.
It's not on a server in a dark room where it's like,
It's in the cloud.
yeah, it's in the cloud.
cloud.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you put the bond issues?
The bond issues and indentures and all that?
Yeah, that would be great.
Absolutely. We can put all the bond docs on there, anything that you guys want. But what I'm saying is, it's very easy. We're gonna create folders for you, but what do you want access to? Cause I mean, I could give you access to 30 years of documents, you know?
So, and Gary just, I don't know if you heard him, because he went. And I get that, but that's a whole nother discussion, because that is gonna be a whole nother large cost to have an independent cloud do that, and it's a whole process thing. We have to develop that process, so I'd rather do this now so we have it available. And then we can go ahead and talk about something a little longer term, because otherwise we're not gonna get this done.
Right now, I just wanna make sure everything is stored and
Yeah.
everything is stored somewhere.
Yep.
And then we can start picking out what we as a board think we want access to and.
I mean,
Board portal.
yeah, and I just want to be clear, you have access to everything, right? All you have to do is ask for it and you get it. But if we're talking about putting stuff on SharePoint, I just want to make sure I put what you want on there instead of you having to go through 30 years of documents that you really probably aren't even going to be interested in looking at.
I don't know. I mean, if I want to look up why we have a chain link fence in Spring Park, is that easy to look up? Would that be any of the records from 1995?
We'd have to, number one, we'd search the minutes to see, we'd search if there was any invoices, if the CDD actually did it. That's why I think a builder did it myself, but who knows?
That's kind of what I'm
You know
getting.
what I mean? Yeah. It's research, right? I'd have to check the minutes. I could check invoices. There's a million different ways that I could go and find out. Did the district put up that fence, or was it in fact a developer or a builder or whatever? Yeah, for sure.
Can you can you just get from your IT department, if you want to put me on an email thread, I can ask some specific questions. I would just like to understand when you say on your system, exactly how you guys are storing it.
Okay.
What else you got?
Oh, so Infomark is purchasing, I told you, we have a field department. We are purchasing a concrete truck. It's not one of the big 10-yard. It's more like a what is it? A three or
Sure what you agree.
a 3 or I think it was between a 3 and a 5-yard truck. I don't know. It's a truck. Yeah, no, it's not.
Rolly guy on it.
Yeah, but it's not a big 10 or 11-yard truck, like the big, huge ones. So my ask and what I was talking to Greg about is the district amenable to it being parked here? And what that means. Does that mean a fee? Does that mean no fee, but you guys could use it? Or, I mean, I don't know.
My thought was a right of first scheduling that because they'd be using it in other districts. That if we needed the concrete truck for any
Well,
of our
you
stuff.
want it here, is it centralized enough?
Yeah, for our field department, not Celebration. We have a separate field department that uses it.
We're gonna use it out of that truck.
Oh, no, so do I. That's why I said, I think.
Well, and
the
that's-
thing for us is right of first schedule.
And to be honest with you, so we have another field department that does a lot of concrete work, a lot. But Celebration also does too. So we felt not only would it be helpful to this district, but we can also obviously use it in other districts. So for us to store it here made sense. Number one, if there's room. Number two, if the board was amenable to it. And I think what Greg and I talked about is like, I mean, as long as we have, if Russ needs it and he tells me, hey, Angel, in 30 days, I'm gonna be doing X amount of concrete and we're gonna need it, well then, okay, he's got it at that time, right? So just scheduling and logistic wise. So nothing, we don't need a decision today, but I
How
just,
far out do you normally schedule? Would you know concrete? I mean, is it 2 weeks, 4 weeks? How far out would you?
Well, the job they're doing right now, they spent 4 days on the roads, so we'll pour tomorrow. You know, it just all depends on where you're at and what panels you're doing.
yeah. But again, we would be able to work that out because,
So Russ, how,
you know,
how far does 5 yards go?
5 yards will do 400 feet, right at,
400 feet?
just under.
And how long does it take to fill a truck up again with it? You have to go to concrete.
I have no idea.
Well, are you also
Yeah.
talking about storing the materials here?
so there's two things. We can go right down in Kissimmee to the plant and get it, or is there one closer?
I think that's the closest
The
one.
closest,
Yeah.
or we can store material here, which again would need us to get a container that has to be dry and all this other stuff to be able to put here, which we're talking about doing too. I just don't know if there's room, huh?
You know, watch out for it too.
Mhm. Yeah.
You're gonna clean and dump it.
Well, I mean, until
Well,
they build here,
yeah,
we've been doing it right here, but then when it dries, we put it in our dumpster.
right. So,
Can you put, last question, so
Mhm.
the barrel when it rotates, can you put Jack's head on the side of it so we see it right side up on one and up?
and on the other, yeah,
I was just thinking that.
yeah,
Will 5 yards build my statue?
yes.
Yeah.
More than enough. So again, not, you don't have to answer that now. We are moving forward with it. Our
No, we-
procurement department is putting it together now.
Are you gonna?
Is there room for it?
There's, I don't know what we're getting, to be honest with you. We looked at a 5 yard,
Yeah,
concrete truck. We also looked at a 2 or 3 yard mixer, they more or less call it. It goes on a flatbed truck.
Yeah, that's the one.
yeah, we're not getting,
That's
we're
not
not
gonna
getting
do
that.
much.
Yeah,
That
we're
would
not
be
getting that.
That'll go like a couple steps, but that's about it.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's just a small concrete truck. So, I
Yeah.
mean,
I'd say.
you
It's
come
not-
by
that's what
here
I
at
said.
any time,
It's-
got
Well, we got room.
12 vehicles back there.
You got room, great.
Yeah.
Look, if you've
Okay.
got room, I prove it, so.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree, we're.
perfect. Okay, just wanted to let you know. Okay, sorry.
I mean, it's 9:15 right now.
Yeah.
It's 9:17 right now.
Still only.
Yeah,
That's all I have.
We're only halfway done.
That's all I have.
Talk about we're on number 9.
All right,
Don't be dramatic.
legal counsel.
Well,
Legal.
We're on field
what else
manager.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Dave's always got questions.
I know, I gotta go through my list.
Oh, okay.
I didn't see, actually, this is my more of a Tom list.
Yeah.
On the GoGo app, I thought we were supposed to be able to identify mosquitoes when we see them.
We have a task going through. I've already sent up mosquitoes. We didn't even talk about that in our meeting, actually. So
Sorry.
I will put that,
Exactly.
Tom and I did talk about where to put it on the request side, but we have not sent it to GoGov, and we actually did not bring it up in our meeting. So thank you for bringing that up. I'll send it to Joe tomorrow.
And before he comes off of GoGov, somebody also sent me a note, they were trying to put in a ticket on the backside of Lake Reinhardt,
Mm-hmm.
and it is excluded. The geofence on our map
Mhm.
cuts right through the middle of the lake, so for the back trail, they can't put in a ticket.
Oh.
Cause he was,
But wait a minute, hold on, so this is a bigger question then. Because weren't these maps pulled out from county?
Yeah.
That's right.
So why are we having inconsistencies?
Yeah, I don't
All
know.
partial should be.
That, right, so we need them to investigate, we don't want them to just fix that. I'd like to find out why is it that these aren't accurate, because otherwise we're gonna have other inaccuracies, so I just kind of want to investigate.
I'm just saying, when they pull stuff from the county, it's not always accurate.
I know, but I want them to tell me.
That's
that,
why I want,
As opposed to, oh, we had a problem with the data or whatever.
yeah. That's why I wanted to get a
Oh
map
my
made,
gosh, yeah.
Yeah,
um,
the county doesn't.
of
do
the district.
Borders of the district well at all. I mean, that's not
That's
their
right.
thing. They do it by
Yeah.
parcels.
This line
But it's not gonna have like Island Village and stuff. I wanna get a really good map made, because that is what the county provides you, is that map right there, and it's terrible.
Didn't we give you permission to go on your back?
Yeah, we did.
Yes, and that's what I'm getting a company to do, but it's gonna be Celebration, the whole thing. And I asked Joe if I can send that over, and he's like, yeah, as long as you get it in this file, and this file. So,
You can't even do one for the artisan boardwalk over to the. Go ahead.
Because it's excluded.
And what he mentioned was there were 4 broken sprinkler heads along that back path. One thing with,
on the backside of
on the back side of,
Lake Eblin,
no, Lake Reinhardt.
Lake Reinhardt. You have that, Russ?
Moving on,
I'm sorry, before we go off the go-go,
there's more go-go.
were you talking to Noah or Lauren about getting to Noah on with go-go?
Lauren was not
Already
there.
show.
Nope.
Next item.
Okay, do you have any more?
Oh.
We didn't get any feedback.
We talked about a structural engineer to look at the boardwalks.
You sent me a
Yes.
company. I have to reach out to him. Well, we talked about it for budgeting.
Oh, okay.
That's true.
That's what we talked about, and he's bringing it up now because you can't make a decision in the workshop. But you did, that's the company you sent me.
Yes, I just don't know
One
how
of 'em.
quickly they go ahead and give us that.
But that's not a structural engineer, or they might have.
Well, I've reached out to some structural engineers that I work with on other districts to
You're
see
probably-
if they'll come and just check it out.
The company I sent you is the.
Company, yeah. They do the
You're
work.
talking the structural, just for those 2 particular small ones. My intent for the structural.
Was
comment
No, all
was
of,
to do all, but
all
that was,
boardwalk.
that was potentially in next fiscal year. if there was
Yeah,
gonna be a
I'm gonna
significant
get a cost
I
for,
I just definitely want to see, in like,
What?
the Killer Reserve. That particular, fish grid, it just does not seem right.
okay, so am I getting the structural engineer to
All of
a
them,
proposal to do all of them?
but I would like to figure out what the assessment of the Depth Bridge for a budget.
Okay, so,
Do you see what I'm saying?
yeah, so do you want me to bring you? So 2 parts. I can have them, a structural engineer, look at the entire thing. If there's a cost to it, I'm gonna have to get that approved. Number 2, do you want me to get an actual assessment done of that particular
I
boardwalk?
do, because
Okay.
the wood isn't straight, and I've seen on a lot of them, how they're set up, and something's not right on this one. Again, I'm not an engineer, but something's not right.
So is the board approving me to get someone to actually do an assessment of that one, aside from the other stuff?
Do you think that would be a cost for someone to do that assessment? or-
It depends. I mean, I'm gonna try and get somebody that I work
I'm
really
fine
close with.
I don't know
Yeah.
what the cost is, but that's.
I don't either. I wouldn't either, but I'm gonna ask if they can at least, maybe if they can at least come do Aquila Reserve for me, just kind of as a favor, and then I can get you a cost.
I would
To
prefer
do
that,
the
because we
entire-
need it for the budget,
Okay,
but we can't prove something we don't know the cost of.
right,
There's a difference between $2,000 and 20.
right.
Not that it'd be 20, but I don't.
If the board wants to authorize, being that Tom is the maintenance person, if you want to authorize Tom, if I get a cost and it's within whatever you all determine, he can approve it.
I mean, I'd like to do it obviously for free if you can get it for that.
Yes, that's my first choice.
I can't imagine that would cost more than,
Up to 2,000.
I was gonna say
I
$1,000.
I would go to say more than 2. It's more than we're gonna have to hold up.
Yeah.
Okay, so not to exceed 2,000. Okay, and that's just for Aquila Reserve. I'm gonna try and get someone to do a favor for me. Yes.
Okay, we did. I second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
All right,
All right.
my, one last thing for management, that's my pet peeve, is weekend open house signs in our verge.
Oh my God, thank you, you brought it up.
Our guy pulls out all the signs, doesn't he?
They do not drive all these roads
Oh,
out here. If they
sorry.
want us to do it, we can.
They had it written right there in my notes.
Bam, I
You
stole
were
your
the
thunder.
next person. Damn, I was gonna bring that up.
So we get the ones that he sees that he doesn't drive every road.
Dog parks and stuff, yeah.
Okay.
Russ, do we pass these signs off to Crowe or report them to Crowe?
It's us.
DMV.
It's our stuff, we pick them up.
No, this week on Saturday in front of Georgetown, there's 4 signs out there advertising open house. And they were, 2 of them were the East.
Did you go on Gov and report that?
I was driving by it. I don't use my phone to ride.
Russ found a sense of humor. Look at that.
Okay, Russ.
Yeah,
Tuesday.
No, we don't report it.
So we have
Well, I'm just
somebody.
saying, Pro is responsible for not.
I don't, I think by Monday, we don't even see them.
I don't even,
Well, they're gonna-
I don't think there's anything we need to do with Pro. I think if we've got somebody working on the weekends, let's just, if you can please emphasize with him,
No,
pull the signs.
no, the only reason I'm saying it, when I was on covenants, I keep complaining to them that they don't have anybody on the weekends doing anything. And covenants is not
They don't
40
work-
hours a week.
They don't work
not
evenings
gonna
or
do it.
weekends or anything.
Well, they need to have an inspector out here or somebody.
Aren't you on that committee?
Yeah, but I can't get anybody to do anything.
When we, Angel, I mean, obviously, we can't steal signs. We would
No,
call people on Monday and say, hey.
No, look at Toby.
What we've done in the past, if any signs,
It's going in the dumpster, I hate to say it.
yeah, I mean, if it's
Right.
some nice signs or something, I try and keep them here and I'll call someone if we know who they belong to, but if not, Russ is right, we pick them up and they go in the trash. I mean,
At least if
you
you
know.
know the reason to call them and notify. them,
Yeah.
Please don't do that again.
oh, definitely, but if we know who they belong to, yes, we make that effort, but if we don't, they get tossed.
And if you could also, just because somebody will say, my God, I didn't know you've been doing it for 20 years, can we do just like a Facebook post and a GoGov push?
Mhm.
Hey, if anybody's putting signs in the easements, please understand even sale signs,
Yeah, they'll be removed and discarded.
they'll be removed, and if you find they're missing, feel free to. check the
Signs on
dumpster.
CBD property.
You know,
Okay.
Orange County at one time had a dialer that continually dialed that phone number of the individuals that put signs up.
I've done that.
Now we have
paid
the
my
automatic
kids to
dialer.
do
It
it.
wouldn't want to call them.
Dave, what else you got?
No, I'm out.
Tom,
Nothing.
Jack, anything for Angel?
Not for Angel now.
Sandra, anything for Angel?
No,
Field management, 9B,
Nothing for Russ, he's good.
Russ.
I'm good.
Just kidding.
It's a long meeting. Let's
There we
got
go.
questions.
Any questions for us?
Thank you for following up on the sidewalks, no check.
We're still. doing
I know there's still a few
irrigation
things.
repairs, so-
Yeah, there's.
Sod and stuff, but we
Getting there,
want to get all the irrigation straightened out first. Just so
getting warm.
y'all are aware, if we ever do another job like that, we're gonna do about a fourth of it at one time. Wrap it up 100% and then do another fourth. Never knew. It's the stump grinding that got us all into trouble. But the roots are, you know.
Right.
It's
I get it.
more of the same down the road.
9C, legal counsel, golfing.
Okay, yeah, as quick as I can. Dave got an email from.
We all did.
Oh, you all got the email from the resident about the
Oh, we
golf?
all did.
Yeah.
A little while ago.
About a month ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just, yeah, it was right around our last meeting. Because we're put on notice, there is some potential liability. The insurer has not had any claims, but of course, you know, they have indicated that because we are on notice that there are golf balls going on our streets and can hurt people on our sidewalks, that we do have some potential liability for errant golf balls. I mean, as to the residents' homes and all, that is disclosed to them when they purchase. Their, you know, general law is if you buy a house on a golf course, you are basically subjecting yourself.
Put up signs that say, watch out.
So we can put up signs, we can write to the golf course owner and just say that you've been, you know, we've been told by someone that this is an issue and we're going to prevent the issue. Or we could just ignore it and
Giant
say that.
nets all around the golf course. and
Because
it really-
we did, you know, we did check and there have not been any claims.
Nope.
So,
Does it benefit us to put that letter out, just to put that letter out to the ether to say we put that letter out?
I don't think so.
no, because then what if we don't act on it? If they don't respond to us, then have we sort of acknowledged there is some issue?
But it wouldn't have gone to any of the areas if across the street, if that county road wasn't there, that area.
Yes, so the county road is that there were also actually some wetlands in the middle of the golf course, which have been there since the beginning that the
Right.
CDD owns. So yes, there are golf balls going through there, but no one should be in those wetlands anyway.
So no squirrels. Oh,
Not to
no.
my knowledge.
I'm in there all the
They
time
could-
looking for my ball. I don't know.
Okay, yes.
So Jack,
I
we
mean,
found Jack Evans.
if you're walking on the sidewalk, it's obvious you've undertaken the risk of walking by a golf course. If you live there, you've undertaken a risk. So
Yeah,
from that
Rick
standpoint,
suggested we do it.
I am bringing it up to the board because the insurer did suggest that we may want to reach out to the golf course. So it's really a balance of risk. Do we want to reach out and ask them, say, hey, we've been notified that a bunch of people have been hit,
That's
but it's
exactly
private
what the
property.
golf course gonna do.
And they're not gonna do anything.
That's a way to.
And that's why I say, one,
We didn't hit the golf ball. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think general law is you've undertaken the risk if you live there and if you're walking. You know, if someone's hurt, I guess they can come back and say, well, we were aware people could be hurt, but then we get to the sign issue, we're gonna put signs on every sidewalk.
we put something up on our website that says, hey, if you happen to walk down a sidewalk, just buy a golf
I don't
course.
think we want to put anything right.
Yeah.
You want to acknowledge it.
So anyway, just wanted to bring it to your attention because it was something that came up and that we were notified of. Other than that, one of the reasons our bills are higher is a lot of insurance claims. So we're getting a lot of questions from insurers council, just asking questions. Mostly for us.
How many hours did you spend on deposition?
Yes.
Today, two,
Two,
Friday,
3 or 4?
two.
Oh, 2.
Yeah, one was noticed for trial, so there are a lot of cases and they aren't going away. There's a lot of.
So in the past few years in our budget, we've kind of done that with your budget number. Can you,
Mhm. I'll
can
look,
you guide us a little bit, just based on
yeah,
everything you know that's going on?
I'll go through our bills like for the last year or two and see
Okay.
if it's really stuff that's increasing. Other than that, working on with the school board, a couple of communications. At the ball field, I need to get with Mark again. The title company is having trouble pulling title on the ball field parcel that Reedy Creek, wherever they are now, owns. Because the parcel goes, it's a very long parcel that goes along I-4, so as they said, there's literally hundreds of easements, encroachments and things along the I-4 corridor.
You're
So
never gonna get it.
we're trying to cut it back to a small piece so we can at least see if there's any way we can build anything on it. And then a domain, just because I know the question came up, we've got 4 parcels. There's been offers made on 3 of them. And those offers now, Mark has provided information, their engineers are looking at it. When they get the 4th one, they will put a counter offer in to try to come up with a number. I know we've been asked about timing. Once they get all the numbers and counter offer, we'll get a lawsuit filed. And then the money gets put into a court registry and we get it. The earliest possible would be fall. It could be, a year. A lot of it depends on when that.
Fall 2027.
No, it'll be before that, unless of course all the funding gets stopped for changes. But I think those actually got fast tracked. So I think the I-4 stuff is probably.
Well, and just for clarification, because it had come up at our budget workshop, I was the intent from, I don't know if Angel made a comment that there was another brand new thing that was coming in, but there is no new thing. It's just those existing parcels.
It was those 3 and then the
Those
4th
3 and
one
then
that
the
came
4th
on
one.
that.
Yep.
Their DOT is behind on.
Okay.
So.
And also we talked about a monetary number. I don't know who, I was under the impression it was, I think I even told Jan, I think I said 2 to 3 million or 3
No,
to
it's
4, and it's not.
1,000,007, like 1,000,006, 1,000,007.
Yeah.
3 parcels. One is 1 million, one's 489, one's like 11,000. And the 4th one's probably not gonna be cheap.
Yeah.
So just keep you up to speed on where we are on that. And that's it for the big stuff.
Any questions for Jan?
Question. We talked about posting signs and getting a towing contract. I don't know, I had this under.
It's mine.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Damn, look, I got both of you guys.
Well, they said, any other questions? And you didn't
Yes.
say anything.
No, I was waiting for the liaison thing.
Yes, I actually forgot about reporting on that one. Yes, we can put signs at probably the beginning of each alley that we would be concerned about. I mean, generally, if it's a one-way in neighborhood, you could put it at the beginning of the neighborhood. Otherwise, you have to post it all along a road where you're going
Everywhere.
100 feet or something.
Mhm.
If it's an alley that has one way in or out, you could probably put it on the beginning of each alley. We'd have to adopt a rule for towing. And
We don't own the streets. How can we?
well, the alleys.
Yeah.
Just the alleys?
Yeah.
Okay.
Alleys
Private.
Longview Alley.
Every time I go on the 417, it's trucks per question.
And the easiest thing to do would be to.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Would be to retain the same company that the county retains. So I can look into exactly who that is and if they retain, we found a couple of counties don't actually retain people, which makes it hard for us to comply.
Well, it has to be within 15 miles from this district, and their tow lot has to be.
Yeah, there's also something, if we pick who the county chooses, then we're okay.
We don't have to go by that? Oh,
No,
Nice.
So is it just the one alley that you're worried about?
Yeah.
Or is it more than one?
Yeah, there's a towing company downtown that have signs.
Well, they've got one down in front
Those
of the Carlisle.
Those are private.
Those are private
I know
companies,
those are
yeah.
private, but
Yeah, but if it's your yard, you can put up a towing sign and have the company come and check it. If it's your own property.
yeah, I'm just, if we're looking at towing companies, you can get this consistent whole town.
There's a statute we have to follow, so.
Statutes.
I know that this law
I know.
just really gets in the way.
Yours really blocks everything.
But I will confirm that, but we can post a sign on each end, we just need to get the company picked, and I will have that for next month.
Okay. Cool, cross that one.
Cross that off my
I
list.
forgot
I'm
one,
not gonna ask Steve.
forgot one thing real quick, which is good news. One started pressure washing the cyclone right here at the library Monday. Gone all the way down Golf Park, all the way to the 417 and this side of going into North Village on the golf course side.
Good.
With the cyclone?
Any issues with
Nice.
breaking or schmutzing out on us?
Your report's over.
It's awesome. Yeah.
That was my report.
We're done.
James can have 5 more questions.
Duke, that ever come back to you about painting the transformer, the other Duke?
That pretty much was, unless it's a
Daniel.
safety
Yeah.
hazard, they're not.
So,
What do we have to do to make them a safety hazard?
Smash them.
Run into
Did we
them. It's like-
hear back from the Duke easement by the high school on the pond that got bigger?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, we did send them, the last thing we sent them was reason.
Mhm. Yeah, we gave them the temporary easement to go in there. and serve it. All right, we'll keep that one on the pending list.
Oh, no. All right, engineers report.
We got my monthly report, top of that's really, the village has got our punch lists for phases 1A and 1B.
What is the progress with Madam Mayor? Is there?
I guess they're starting on the punch list, we're
Yeah.
trying to schedule a meeting with them to look at ball field track and all the track that's there. So we're probably just trying to whittle away at that punch list.
Yeah, I mean, they want to turn things over as quick as possible. Their attorneys keep calling me saying it's a rush.
Are they acknowledging the trash issue and?
They,
We'll find out when we meet, we picked up all of our stuff, that's just bottom line. School said they didn't have one leaf over there from their property, so other than the leaves, which are just with. Our street sweeper, it's all been from the building.
Dave, have you been in any meetings, Madam?
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing's on the schedule. Kind of waiting for this to come to a head and get it scheduled on.
you haven't heard any more on the electric and
Well, they gotta put stone back on it for a second time, because they used the wrong stone.
Well, you guys, from last month's meeting, you guys were gonna tear apart the other ones. The other,
We haven't got to that yet.
what's the timeline for that?
Talk, get the sign. Get it working out right for the last couple of days.
Do we have a clock we're working in a window, Dan, as far as?
Need to get it done as soon as
No,
possible, I guess.
they have not threatened. They're
I
very eager to get it done and say we're being very picky, which I told them was what we have
Things
to
that
be
don't work,
because,
yeah.
because we're on other things.
Yeah.
So,
do you know from one of the superintendents, they said warranties up on them, so
okay.
whether that's true or not, I don't know.
Will he be able to get to that this month though, so we can close this out?
You only got the rest of this
Well,
week.
there's, was there about 30 lights? Takes a couple hours for each one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna take a minute.
I mean, there's always gonna be lights that are out, but that's.
No, to see if the wires.
Oh, I see.
To see if it even works.
Might not be active, that's the problem.
What's that?
It might not be
Actually, we're gonna get it.
Well, that's my.
Me, Tanner,
I
and
know.
Jacob moves.
So they're gonna work.
So, yeah, we're gonna,
Okay, just want to make sure, because that was the old,
I don't think that should hold it up. We're actually gonna walk it to our own.
all right. Good,
You know,
thank you.
probably better than having someone else do it.
So we can get that done this month.
Yes.
The.
The
Whatever
old stuff.
testing we need to go over.
Oh,
Alright. Sorry, Mark.
that's all I have.
We sidetracked you. Any questions?
Dave, you
Dave,
got
you want to
questions,
ask some
Mark?
questions?
Let's get your questions.
That's it.
Liaison.
No, well, last month we talked about the Aquila Pond and whether we need. plants in that littoral film that stinks. So I don't know what we're able to do, because we have a great new company that's ready to jump on it. So little zone.
I cannot believe they included free plantings. Like I've never seen.
2,000 free
Yeah,
plants?
I've never seen a company do that, like ever.
Yeah, that's a lot of plants.
The whole
Yeah.
plans I found,
Be using every
show
one.
literal zone, show.
Oh yeah, you got to tell him where you want them and what kind of plant you want. That's what he said.
That it was to be
I was
planted, what species, what density.
No company's ever done that.
So are
I could
are you
do-
suggesting
Me too.
wait until they get on and you guys will? I'm not really sure what they would do versus what you guys were having to do, design thing.
Well,
You're talking about maybe doing a little.
I was
pump,
just,
right?
real easy, put a centrifugal pump there like 4.5. Put the, screen out underneath the, dock. Run the pipe just along the edge, round to the back right here, and just let that thing fly. It's
That has a
24/7.
pump to it.
Huh?
That-
It's gonna be across on the back side of the pond.
One thing you can do, I would just want to tear everything out.
Well, all the cattails.
You can tear it all out as long as no one ever said anything about it.
Go back and put some select species in there that won't.
All right, add that to,
2,000 plants right there.
Cross Creek's list.
Already spoken for.
Tom already has specific places.
Locations already.
There's no water flow there. Water's about this big. Maybe.
That area, it's like,
Yeah.
that dries out every year. Yeah, it's not deep, I don't know why they made it that way. It's just.
I don't know why they put it right next to a house, front and back. or
I've
side
never
and
seen anything
side.
like that.
You know,
The plants.
Anything else from Mark?
no.
Jack?
I got two things. Russ and I met with Julie Pino yesterday as a result of my conduct committee meeting, which they came after us for sidewalks among other things and trees. And anyway, so look at that to be coming up. The big issue is which
Who is this with?
we met with Carlisle North yesterday, walked their property, and they have some sidewalk issues. Just like every place else, so we're just go in line. But I think
How severe are they? Dangerous, not dangerous? I mean.
Let staff run through
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
let them figure it
let
out.
staff do their analysis.
Yeah, don't object.
Without,
no, Russ has got a handle on it. He knows what he's doing. The other thing is I met with Crow in April 4th for talked about land transfers. We talked about these two parcels in Artisan Park where we wanted to transfer the whole thing to them, our easement to them. Then they hit me with a whole assortment of stuff they'd like to transfer back to us.
Oh, geez.
Now, if you were in Main Village, almost every road that comes off of Celebration Boulevard Avenue, Golf Park, Campus, and various other places.
stay on the roadway.
There's about maybe 100-foot section that allows them to close off the entire area, and also part of West Village is with Jadton. But they want to get rid of that segment, give it back to the county, and give us the easement back. So those are transfers they want to do.
So, I really have to say.
There's probably 100 or more little parcels that are probably, like, I know, like, there's a little roundabout area that the Proa has that she should have, vice versa.
Yeah, we didn't get into this. This is just segments of road that they don't want to ever have to repave. You know, that they say.
I guarantee the county.
the county's not gonna take them back in that condition.
Well, but the county
No,
doesn't
it's
even know.
fine roads. It's
Crow
just regular road. They don't know.
So why do they
Was
want to
it
give?
for
why
a
do you wanna
fact
give the
where
road
they can
to
close the
us?
road
They're
down?
not giving us the road. They're giving us from the curb to the sidewalk.
Because they have that right now.
So it completes our easement.
But then you have to split the parcel and get a survey.
Well, that's what we came up with. The other
Well,
thing
but I
is,
think we need a more.
I'll just show you that you want it. You know, you want it. I mean,
So let me ask a question with this. Are we creating more problems or is it worthwhile? Is it worth just keeping what we've got? I mean, I know we tried to solve the one with, what was the one up in North Village with the mailbox thing where we don't mailbox?
well, yeah, we didn't address that when we talked about the parcel that is in front of the Charleston's.
Yeah.
Separating that parcel and deeding it to Croa. But Jan, I think you mentioned something
We looked
about
at that
that.
a long time ago. That's the one with the townhomes.
Yeah.
We looked at it a long time ago, and again, you'd have to split parcels and do surveys, and there would be a lot of engineering and
That's
legal
not
work
worth it.
to make it happen.
It's pretty much easy. Just come about 5 foot, 10 foot up the front of the building, all the way down. We needed that easement for utilities, water lines. Give them everything else.
Yeah, well,
I guess my question is based on, if this is snowballing and I got it, I mean, the town was screwy in how it was set up, but
yeah,
is the juice worth the squeeze on this?
we've lived with it 28 years.
That's a lot of staff time, especially billable staff. I mean,
Yeah,
Jan and Mark. I'm just not sure what we're getting from it.
yeah, it seems like there's a couple things that make sense, like that parcel where we own the little ring around.
Oh,
that-
yeah.
I almost want this on the back burner because you can't even get questions on a survey, so I'd rather just wait on that.
All right.
Yeah.
I think it's later on, we can, if Disney comes back with certain pieces of land and stuff, maybe that's something we can talk about.
All right.
It's gross.
10A.
Conversations with Osceola County.
There haven't been any.
Okay.
That's fine.
Oh, that looks great.
Yeah.
All right, so,
Wait to hear back from Don Fisher. I've been trying to get his meeting in for 6 weeks, so.
Conversation with Osceola County.
Yeah.
all right.
Well, we still have outstanding with them, just so you guys know, they confirmed, what was it, 3 months ago, Jan, or 2 months ago, as far as the mosquito piece, that they acknowledged that we had terminated that
That agreement. that didn't
agreement,
do it.
whatever it was. And their comment back to us was, okay, is CDD gonna continue doing mosquito treatments or not? And I didn't answer them because I'm not sure that I'm in a position to answer them.
They basically asked if we wanted the county to take over, we would get the same service the rest of the county does, but they needed
They
to
did
know
send
by
us-
May or June so they could put in the budget.
They did send us what the coverage was and the conditions. I mean, basically, it's you have to jump up and down 5 times, set your hair on fire and make it over. Mosquitoes, but I'll forward it out to you.
No, I
guys.
think I remember.
I mean, listen, for
Yeah.
purposes of the budget, it's $250,000 a year. I think it's something we need to look at. I still intend on pursuing if they'll listen. I think they owe us something from it, but I also don't, I think the town will not look favorably if we just terminate the mosquito.
I agree. It really is a help. I just can't believe that's all they do.
Well,
In the world of money goes.
that was the only, there are still some outstanding out of my list of 12 things of which they tackled one. I will continue to forward those.
Well, there is one thing with the county that I'm tracking. I think you sent the email out that I forwarded to you regarding the.
Yep.
Traffic.
And I just sent you the other one that from Greg.
Right turn lane expansion.
Yeah, so the county's transportation has a request to improve that whole intersection at World and Celebration. It'd be nice if our commissioner actually acknowledged that she would support it.
So where are we at? I mean, what does that mean? Does she need to get behind it in order for it to get done?
Yeah.
Okay, then it's not gonna get done.
That'd be great.
All right. Are we at public comments?
Thank you.
All right, revision audit committee charter.
No, it's correct.
All right,
So,
so public comment period.
yes.
Just a quick one, subject that you talked about earlier, and that's the memorial plaques, Gary Huntsman, 14 Sunrise, on the benches. At a future date, I'd like for you to discuss expectations for that. So that there won't be any hard feelings in the future, but I can see a scenario where the bench is replaced eventually and plaque disappears and the resident aquatics, what happened?
Correct. That was covered in the draft.
Yeah, it's covered on the application. They signed.
They won't be
Because they
disappointed,
know,
they'll know. They might be
I
disappointed.
mean, they
but
might
it's
forget,
in there.
but
Yeah, it's listed out.
thank you.
Come on, Gary, I know you got more than that. 4 hours, you got more
Yeah.
than
you
that.
have
We had to wait for nothing.
Yeah, we need 10 more minutes to get.
All right,
All right.
we're adjourning.
Angel's done, yeah.
Any public comments on the line?
No one's online except for Cassandra and myself.
Very well. Do I have a motion?
Move to adjourn.
Yes.
Yep.
Good night.
Good
Yeah.
night.
What we said. on
The
record
time
on
is
this one?
9:49. This is probably the longest meeting I've had in celebration
I said,
since I've been here.
I said
Long
4
time.
hours.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
You know what?
No,
I was on the
no, we
board.
No, you, the one when
One
Jane